Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Thank goodness we have a huge baseball game to watch and perhaps get the Browns completely out of our mind after that dumpster fire they put on the field yesterday in Washington. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll do a quick whip around and sort of a tease down, because we have to talk Guardians, a tease down to our big Browns point of the day. Do you want to start, Jay?
The obvious one to me, I wrote about it last night. I'm not blaming it all on Deshaun. It's not all his fault. He's not the entire problem, but he is not the solution. It's time. It's time to sit him. It's time to declare this a disaster that it is, and it's time to move on from Deshaun Watson.
Jay, what do you got?
Hey, listen, ironically, I might agree with Jason. What I saw yesterday was not good enough. It wasn't going to work. Deshaun Watson looked like he might not be the dude, but we need to find out if Kevin Stefanski is the dude too, because it was that bad. We're gonna have to figure out not only about Watson, we're gonna figure out about Stefanski, who's calling plays, what they doing at quarterback, and we might be talking draft, fellas.
No, we're talking draft. We're 5 weeks in. We're thinking draft, and why wouldn't we? We're currently in the third draft position, I believe.
Fourth now.
Yeah, we're definitely thinking draft. I'm with you, Jay. I don't think it's completely Deshaun Watson's fault. I think what he's been given to work with is just not adequate. It's well below average. I think that it is absolutely time to bury this mistake. It is time to move on from Deshaun Watson. That Houston Watson, he's not coming back.
He's not coming back.
That guy is there. He's not inside that body anymore. I don't know where he went. I don't know if it's mostly mental. Some of it's physical. Watching him run, he's not the same physically. But mentally, he is nowhere near what he was. And what we have to figure out now is who is calling the shots. Kevin Stefanski is a smart football man. There's no way in good faith he can stand before the media and say, I'm not ready to make a change at quarterback. When it's not going well, and it's not just going not well, it's going historically bad. There are numbers to back that up. Something has to change. And the obvious thing is the quarterback. And I am not for a second trying to sit here and tell you that once Jameis comes in, everything will be right, because I don't believe that. But I think at this point, we've figured out this much. And I loved the way you phrased it. He's clearly not the only problem, but he is not the solution. And I think that is a definitive statement that I 100% co-sign. We'll come back to all of that. And my big point that I want to get to later is just who the hell is calling the shots on this team? Who is it? Is it Paul DePodesta? Is it Jimmy Haslam? Because I don't think for 1 second Kevin Stefanski has the power or the authority to sit Deshaun Watson. So we'll get into that too.
And we'll do that after we talk some Guardians. We have a playoff baseball game in the city of Cleveland today, and that's what deserves the most attention on this Monday. And let's get right into the Guards after a quick word from FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get in a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Jay, it is game 2 today. The Guards dominated game 1. An incredible first inning explosion. Essentially shut the door on the Tigers. The bullpen once again lights out. But a different beast today with Tarik Skubal on the mound for Detroit. What are your expectations for this Guardians lineup against Skubal, who is going to be the AL Cy Young winner in a pivotal Game 2 of the playoffs?
Well, I'll start by going back to Game 1. It is, boy, I said this on Friday too. This is a must-win. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it's Game 1 of a 5-game, but I really looked at it, Jason, as a must-win game. With Tarik Skubal going in Game 2, And looking at the way he pitched, not just in the regular season, but against Houston in his only playoff start, the stage was not too big for him. He went 6 terrific innings, did get hit a little bit in that last inning with the long ball to left that luckily for him stayed in the park. They held on to win that game. My fear was if you don't win game 1, you're staring at a potential sweep.
Yeah. Because
with Skubal going in game 2 and then games 3 and 4 going back to Detroit, it'd be a long uphill climb for the Guardians. I think I like the way Hinch managed this. Knowing you're going to pitch Skubal in game 2, not panicking and saying we've got to get him right away in game 1 on short rest. I like that he waited for game 2 from their perspective, because here's the deal. If he wins today, and he is favored and expected to win, then it's a 3-game series with 2 in Detroit and the next 2 in Detroit. Mm-hmm. So I think Detroit is not panicking in their clubhouse. I think that's why Hinch went with the bullpen game. You saw how short that leash was. I was even shocked that he made the move when he did. I mean, just a couple hitters into the game, their starter was out, and it was a great move for them. But I do think that today's going to be tough. I think if the Guardians are going to win it, it's going to be in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning. Because I think Skubal's going to go 6. He's going to be just as difficult to hit today as he was for Houston. And, certainly not giving up on this game, but I think if they're going to win it, it's not going to be against Skubal. It's going to be against the bullpen late.
The most interesting thing about game 1 to me is the fact that in game 1 of a 1-0 game, A.J. Hinch pulled the infield in.
Stunning.
It blew. I've talked about it for 2 days. Zach Meisel's probably sick of me hearing.
No, you're not alone. It was confounding.
It was.
Why are you playing that like it's the 7th inning?
Because A.J. Hinch is telling you if the Guardians score 2 runs, we can't win.
Yeah,
that's what he's telling you.
It's exactly what he's telling you.
And that applies to games 2, 3. Like he's telling you, if the Guardians score 2 runs, we can't beat this bullpen.
But I know that you're saying this too. We don't have numbers on this because there's not a stat. It is the earliest that regular season or postseason that I have ever seen a move like that. That move is reserved for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning.
2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Top of the 1st inning in a 1-0 game, and he brings in the infield.
What are you doing? And look what happened.
But he's telling you, if that run from 3rd scores, we are not going to win this game. That's what the manager's telling you. That's how much fear and respect Detroit has for Cleveland's bullpen. And the Tigers know the Guardians better than anybody. They're division rivals.
Jay,
they know that team inside and out.
But I also think it's a lack of confidence in his lineup.
Oh, for sure.
That lineup's paper thin.
Who are you scared of in Detroit's lineup?
That's why I said give me the Tigers. Listen, Skubal's a good pitcher, man. Listen, he's not Randy Johnson. Look, you're only as good as the momentum. I said it on Friday. You're only as good as the momentum you bring in after game 1. They got smoked in game 1. And the Guardians did exactly what they were supposed to do. They came in and jumped all over them, put the runs on the board, and was like, you're done. Now, you better get your best performance from Skubal. Because if he mess around and give up a couple pitches and somebody hits a couple long balls, now you're looking around at this lineup saying, guess what? We can't come back from that. And I don't see no shadows. The shadows ain't there today, Jay.
They will be.
The sun isn't out, but it's going to be.
Hey, listen.
At game time, the sun will be out.
They better hope that sun comes out. They better hope the meteorologist is correct. Because I'm going to tell you what. If the Guardians can come out and put the pressure back on them and say, look, if you telling me Skubal gives up a few runs, you don't think that dugout going to be right? Are we done?
I do think, to your point about early in the game, if the Guardians get 1 or 2 off of him early, I think at that point they're going to get really wide-eyed in the Tiger dugout. Yeah. I do. But, and who knows? It's so hard to predict. I disagree with your premise that, about the momentum thing. In baseball, momentum is the next day's starting pitcher. And because of that, I think the Tigers do come in with momentum. I know that it seems oxymoronic because the way game went.
They got their guy.
But they've got their guy. And having played this game my whole life and covered it my whole life, and from a personal standpoint, when I've been in series and you like the guy you've got on your on the mound, you're not even thinking about what happened in game 1.
No.
You might be if it's a closeout game where there's less wiggle room.
Yeah.
This isn't that. And they've got their guy, and we'll see what happens.
Their guys on the mound, they still got to hit the ball. Their guy on the mound does not help them being a team that's a net.
No, you got to score to win. You got to score.
And that's why I think I told you guys, The first inning was the most important to me with Tanner Bybee. Just don't get hit early.
And
get out of the
he had
first.
a high pitch count that first inning.
Yeah, I don't even care about pitch count because he's not going to be around long enough for the pitch count to matter.
No, I know, but
You get 2 turns with this staff, with where the Guardians are at right now, and Bybee was terrific.
Unreal.
He was terrific. But you still don't have the trust and faith in him that you would a bona fide number. Detroit has way more faith in Skubal than the Guardians have
100%.
in Tanner Bybee.
100%.
So you get 2 turns through the order.
Yeah.
And that's really about it. Even though they don't have a feared lineup, you still don't want these guys getting a third look at him.
how good
So
was Cade Smith, by the way?
Oh, Cade Smith is going to be the Andrew Miller of
Cade
this
Smith
postseason.
is a closer for probably 25 teams.
Yep. Any team
Maybe
without
more.
Emmanuel Clase.
Yeah, I mean, he is that
Yeah.
good. And I love what you said about the Andrew Miller. This team, the way the bullpen is, people keep saying, well, it's 2016 all over again. No, it's
not.
2016 on steroids.
Yes.
In 2016, you had to have a lead after 7. Here, you get to the 5th inning, Cade Smith can give you multiple
Yeah.
innings if he had to.
Yeah. 2016 had 2 relievers.
That was
Andrew
it.
Miller and Cody Allen. I forgot his name for a
Yeah,
second.
no.
That was it. That's all they had. And Corey Kluber. They had 1 starter and 2 relievers.
Right.
And they made it to the World Series. Now they have 1 starter and 4 relievers.
That's right.
So who do you,
good luck.
So who do you like better? Who you got more faith in? Skubal or the Guardians bullpen?
Guardians bullpen.
Whatever it is.
However,
that's easy money.
However, but look at it this way: the Guardians bullpen, if things are going well, will pitch 4 innings. Skubal will give you 6,
Yeah.
and could give you
Yeah,
7.
you answered that faster than I did. I don't know. I don't know that I'd be that quick on that.
Well, I'm just doing it on volume.
Yeah.
If the Guardians bullpen pitches more than 4 innings, we've got a problem.
Well, game 1 was absolutely perfect for how the Guardians have to approach this entire postseason. Get an early lead and get to the bullpen as fast as you can.
Quickly as possible.
And they had such a big lead that guys like Cade Smith, Kyle Manzardo, guys who've never been in the playoffs before, had a pressure-free debut where they could come in. It's not a high
How about
leverage
Quan
situation.
right away,
Oh,
too?
Quan right away off the wall.
I mean, I was saying in August and September, this team can't make a World Series run if Quan doesn't become all-star
and
Quan.
he looks like Quan.
He
again.
looks like
came
Quan.
in,
Brilliant
set the
move
table,
setting him down.
Set the table, came in. Everybody else was more relaxed. Now you got ducks on the pond, and now you're rolling. I'm telling you, they should. The goal for the Tigers should not be able to let the Guardians see anything good happen, and everything good happened. You take a look at Quan. He got off the bump. You take a look at Fry. You take a look at all these other dudes, some of the lesser guys getting involved, and you got your younger guys, some at bats up there. So
It all
now,
worked out.
So it all worked out. Now look, Detroit. You got your best guy on the mound. Shout out to you. I hope it works out.
How good was that crowd, too?
Oh, yeah.
Electric.
I mean, it
was
felt
awesome.
like
Were
a
you
World
there?
Series
Were you
crowd.
there?
I wasn't. I wish I was watching
I
the whole
figured you
thing
were.
on
I
a
assumed you
phone
were.
screen.
Oh, wow.
Driving a boat from Geneva to Sandusky.
First world
Otherwise,
problems, Jay.
I would have
First
been
world
there.
problems.
Yeah, first
I will
world
be there
problems.
today, by the way.
Are you going?
Yeah, you'll
Good.
see me.
Jay,
I'll
let me
be
ask-
behind home plate screaming like
Let me ask you a
crazy.
question real quick, and we're going to talk plenty of Guardians. What makes Skubal, for people who haven't watched the Tigers a ton, and specifically him? He's going to win the AL Cy Young. He won the AL pitching Triple Crown. What makes him so good and effective as a pitcher?
I'll give my quick one. In full disclosure, I've seen him pitch probably only 5 or 6 times this year. I tried to watch him a time or two, not thinking that we would match up with him.
Right.
Early on in June, I'm like, okay, I got to check out the hype.
Right.
I've seen him pitch against the Guardians. To me, everything looks like a strike. So his pitches that end up out of the zone, and I think I read, I hate repeating this because I can't remember it, but I believe he has the highest swing and miss rate on balls out of the strike zone. And I think guys are hitting 125 on those pitches. So what that tells me is he's able to deceive and make every single pitch look like it's going to finish in the strike zone.
He's
And
very
they
good
don't.
at tunneling.
Tunneling is the term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every pitch looks the same, and then the break at the end. He's got a 5-pitch mix, knuckle curve a little bit, fastball, slider, change, sinker. You're the baseball guy. I think you have to. He's actually. I was just looking it up real quick. I want to make sure I was right. He's given up more home runs on changeups than anything else.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I think you just have to sit fastball with him.
I do too.
Just
my approach would be that.
Just sit, and it felt like the Guardians hitters in game 1. Now again, totally different approach, bullpen game versus an
Right.
ace, a Cy Young winner. But they wanted to get early.
They were aggressive.
They were very and I would be the same way with Skubal.
I would think
sit fastball early in the count, wait for a fastball, and take your chances with it.
I would guess that would be the approach. That's the way I would approach it, because his stuff is around the plate, and his stuff that is off the plate breaks so hard and so late. That's why a lot of guys chase at those pitches that are outside the zone. When you're watching today, the one thing I'm going to be looking for, look for which pitches the Guardians spit on. Like, what are they? Are they sliders? Are they, because pitch recognition is key with a guy like this, because his tunneling is absolutely consistent. So if the Guardians, and that's why I hope there isn't some and there aren't shadows, because we talked on Friday about the challenge of the ball coming from the darkness or from the light and going dark, and it's really, really difficult for a hitter to decipher what pitch it is. You can't pick up spin. And if they're spitting on pitches that are sliders and sinkers that are just off, then that's going to tell me that they're going to take a little more cautious approach, and they might not be as aggressive as they were in game one. But I still, as a hitter, I want to go down swinging. And I know his off-the-plate stuff is very difficult to hit.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make those split-second decisions. Can I put the bat on this ball? And if they can't, spit on the pitch and live to see another one.
Yeah.
But he's really good. He's really, really good.
So a couple things on this. It's really interesting. Zach Meisel and our writer in Detroit did a great story on this. Matthew Boyd and Tarik Skubal, it's so wild that they're matched up.
They're good friends.
They're great friends.
Yeah.
And Boyd was like a mentor to Skubal when they were in Detroit.
Yeah.
And now, who would have ever guessed, here they are facing each other in
especially
a playoff
this
game.
year.
Yeah.
The way the Tigers were going. Now, not only are they best friends, they've got a lot of similarities. Obviously, they're both lefties. They've got a Seattle tie. Skubal pitched at the University of Seattle. They have both had Tommy John, and they have both had flexor tendon surgery.
Yeah.
Tommy John came for Skubal when he was at Seattle. It came obviously for Boyd later in his career. Skubal was a mentor Boyd was a mentor to Skubal when they were both in Detroit, and he came up early. He invited him to his first major league dinner. They became friends, and they would work out together in Seattle in the offseason. They were very, very close. But what's interesting was, when it seemed like Skubal had found his footing and was fast-tracking to become Cy Young, Boyd was dealing with what he thought could be a career-ending injury with Tommy John. But because Skubal had already gone through it, then Skubal, the tables were flipped, sort of mentored and guided Boyd through the pitfalls that are Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic matchup. They're very, very close friends. They're both pit bulls. They're very, very competitive. So you could see a game that's scoreless into the 5th or 6th inning. It wouldn't surprise me.
That would benefit Cleveland.
It would absolutely.
It may not sound like it, but if you are tied, as long as you can against Tarik Skubal,
right.
until you get him out of the game.
4th inning.
Yeah,
That's good.
Just stay tied.
Yeah,
until you
that's
can
it.
get him out of the game. And one other thing that's really interesting about Skubal, and I was thinking about this in relation to Tanner Bybee. It's funny. Detroit had 3 top pitching prospects all coming up through the system at the same time, and everybody was really excited to see Casey Mize, Matt Manning, and Tarik Skubal.
Yeah.
No one cares about Casey Mize. He's not even on the roster anymore.
Nope.
Matt Manning's been in AAA most of the year. Skubal was number 3. He was a clear third on that list. He's now their number 1.
He was a 9th round or 10th round pick.
But look
that.
at Cleveland. It was always Daniel Espino, and then Gavin Williams, and then Tanner Bybee.
Yeah.
Bybee
What's
was
happened?
always third on that
That's
list.
funny.
And now he's the number 1.
The one thing you can't predict is pitching prospects.
Yeah.
You can't.
Tanner
You don't know.
Tanner told me after the game the other day, Daniel Espino is the best pitcher he's ever seen, period.
Really?
Period. Bar none.
What a shame.
But he just can't stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy. What a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you look at the pitching luck that the Guardians have had over the last couple of years, you can go back a decade.
Yeah.
They've had critical injuries at the worst time. But this year and last, they played basically the bulk of both seasons without their 1 and 2.
I mean, Shane Bieber was supposed to be the starter Saturday. Tristan McKenzie is supposed to be going today. Think about where this team would be with. Shane Bieber was building a crib for his incoming child, for his child that's coming. He talked to Zach the other day in the club. I hadn't seen Shane since spring training, and he was back in the clubhouse for this postseason run. And he talked to Zach about just how he's dealing with everything, how hard this is, that he wants
What
to be out
did he say?
there.
It's got to be.
He's got FOMO. He's got
Sure.
major FOMO about
How
what's
could you
going
not?
on right now. Yeah, he's preparing for the birth of his child and building a crib instead of preparing for game one of a playoff series.
We've said this, and I don't want to look too much at other series because you're in a dogfight. You got to win the series that you're in currently. But having watched everybody else, that this is the year.
It's wide
There
open.
is not that juggernaut that you absolutely shaken your cleats to face.
I absolutely believe they've not easily, it's never easy. They have a great chance to win the World Series this year.
agree.
It sounds nuts to say that.
I know it does.
I absolutely believe it.
What a diversion it would be. How ironic is this? It was 80 degrees yesterday. The Browns season is over, and the Guardians are still going.
Yep, I tweeted that yesterday. The Browns season ended before the Guardian season.
Which is that's unthinkable
Yep.
to me. It's unthinkable.
Mike dropped a mind-blowing question on me this morning. I'll save it
No,
for
we're going to do it
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to do it tomorrow.
It just, I almost dropped my phone.
I'll get Jay's answer because
Wow.
you're not on the
It
show
was that
tomorrow.
good?
It was great.
We're going to do it tomorrow. We have too much stuff to get to today, but I'll get your answer to it, Jay, so we
Okay.
can add it to the conversation we get tomorrow. We're
Guards.
going to talk Guardians again at the end of the show. Any final thoughts on the Guards before we pivot to the Browns? And we'll get back to the Guardians at the end. But final thoughts,
If
game two today.
If they get to early runs and get to Skubal quickly, this series could be over. This series could be over.
If they win this, then obviously it's 2-0.
Yeah.
Detroit doesn't like their chances. If I had a pile of money and I had to push it either way, I would say we're going to Detroit 1-1. But I'm always pessimistic because as a fan, I've always lowered expectations as a fan. Because that way when yesterday happens, I'm like, well, what did I say the score was going to be Friday? 31-13 or 30-13.
Yeah,
You
you
were
were
the only one
way.
that picked the Commanders, and you were right.
And I said it's not going to be a close game. I always lower my expectations, and that way when they come true, I'm like, well, I'm not surprised, so I'm less disappointed.
Yeah.
When you expect to win and don't, there's nothing worse.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
worse.
All right, it's time to talk a little Browns. We'll get to more Guardians at the end of the show, but this Browns segment is brought to us by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. When you're looking to hire for your small business, you need to find the right quality professionals who fit your role. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours, so you can hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We'll get into whose decision it is and who has the power in the Browns organization to make significant lineup changes in a little bit. But for this particular conversation, we're focusing just on the field with what we've seen through the first 5 weeks of the season. And G, I want to open this up with you. From a purely football perspective, would it be in the Browns' best interest to bench Deshaun Watson and try either Jameis or DTR? Or is Deshaun still the right guy to lead this offense moving forward?
I'm going to preface this statement by saying I'm going to be very direct. I would play Jameis Winston. Because what I'm seeing on the football field, strictly on the football field, is high school. On the goal line, you got the ball on the 2-yard line, false start. You get the ball again, 12 men in a huddle. Then you get the ball again, timeout. You get the ball, we're going to go for it, but not really because we can't get the call in, so now we got to call. It's just, it's comical. It's at this point. I'm watching Deshaun Watson, and at this time and point in time, the offensive line is so bad that he's having what we were talking about, seeing ghost. There is no pocket presence in what he's trying to do. He's just running around like with his head cut off. It isn't anything concise. It isn't anything it looks like it has been rehearsed, scheduled. It just looks bad. When you watch other quarterbacks, it's 1, 2, 3, ball out, 1, 2, 3, ball out. Quarterback, if you're gonna run a scramble, you take the scramble, get out of bounds. It's just so bad right now. So yeah, I would try Jameis Winston because I need a spark somewhere, and I'm not ready as a organization to punt on the season. I will tell you why later on it won't happen. Deshaun Watson's still going to be the quarterback. We'll get to that. But one thing that I want to talk about too is it's malpractice to focus in on Deshaun Watson and not talk about the horrible job Kevin Stefanski has done this year. It is a bottom 5 job by Kevin Stefanski. This guy.
What is different to you from last year when he was coach of the year and the offense had the best passing game that we've had since '99?
Well, here's what the difference is. He didn't hold anybody accountable up front. What did you do up front to bolster your offensive line? Your offensive line came in out of shape. You knew they were out of shape, and then you didn't run nobody in camp. Second thing, too, you brought in another head coach or you brought in another coach to run the offense and say you want another offensive coordinator. My thing is, if you are bad enough to need a new coordinator, why aren't you turning the plays over? See, this little game that we playing is, well, is it Kevin's fault or is it not Kevin's fault? Is the play calling this? Is it Dorsey? Let the man call his own plays. You still holding on to the play sheet. Alex Van Pelt got fired while you were calling the plays. I want to see what Jameis Winston can do, and the reason I want to watch what Jameis Winston does because I need to figure out whether or not I got the right coach involved too. Now, here's the thing: if he puts Jameis Winston in the game and Jameis Winston looks great, and the offense moves better like it did with Flacco, then guess what? We know what it was. Oh, well, Deshaun wasn't it. But if he puts Jameis Winston in the game and it looks the exact same, it looks like it's a cluster, you know what? Then I got to start questioning who's calling the plays and do we got the right people at the top?
Let me ask you this, because I thought about that exactly the way you explained it, and I talked myself out of it because we're talking about last year. Last year, Deshaun Watson looked very, very similar to he's worse this year, but he was not great last year. And the control in this experiment that we're talking about is quarterback or head coach, is we went through this last year, and I want to talk myself into, I want to see what Dorsey's offense looks like. I want to talk myself into that. Well,
no, you don't.
Here's why.
You saw it in Buffalo.
Well, listen,
it wasn't awful in Buffalo.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw a quarterback that made a lot of bad decisions in Dorsey's
they got
offense.
Infinitely better as soon as Ken Dorsey was.
Well, I don't know. They
I'm not gonna keep giving Kevin Stefanski.
They didn't look great yesterday.
Nobody's giving Stefanski a pass.
He doesn't deserve a pass.
What I'm saying though is we gotta examine it. The offense looked kind of like this in 2021. Go look at 2020 numbers. 2021.
Yeah.
Baker wasn't throwing for 300 yards. He was at the same place, 174, 186, 205. Same offense. Now, if you're going to fire Alex Van Pelt, you said that all those other guys were the reason.
See, that's what I don't understand, because you're right. And
you can't have it both ways.
What I don't get, and Jason, please give me insight into what happened. Problem is, the curtain is made of steel, and nobody finds out. But that's what I want to know. I don't care. I will never for a second believe that Kevin Stefanski went to Andrew Berry and said, I want to fire Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah.
I will never believe that. I believe that decision came from on high. And my theory is this. If I'm wrong, tell me. Because this is just my theory because we don't hear anything from behind this steel curtain. My theory is in talks between Deshaun and Andrew Berry or Deshaun and Jimmy Haslam or Deshaun and Paul DePodesta, it was stated at some point because of his struggles, this isn't the offense I feel comfortable running. This isn't who I am. I'm a spread quarterback out of the shotgun. Do not put me under center. Do not give me 12 personnel. I don't like that. And I think that the owner, in hearing all of this input and looking and seeing what it looked like, by the way, with a under center play action quarterback in Joe Flacco, I think the owner said, well, I'm giving him 230. I'm trying to eliminate any excuses for failure. Let's do this. Kevin, fire AVP. We got to bring somebody in that's going to run a spread shotgun that Deshaun's comfortable with. Are you buying that theory so far?
Absolutely.
Okay. So at that point, Stefanski, being the good soldier that he is, lets Alex Van Pelt go, even though Alex Van Pelt wasn't even calling plays and they made the playoffs. Most bizarre firing in the history of firings.
Yep.
Didn't understand it then, don't understand it now. So I think what we're looking at is everything has been changed to fit what Deshaun wants. But the problem is you've got the wrong horse. You've got the wrong guy. If you're going to give the keys to the castle, it better be a Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And we hadn't seen that old Deshaun. And I think he was explaining away his failures because he was running an offense he didn't like. Okay, let's fix it. Let's wave the wand and change it. The problem with pivoting the Titanic after it hit the iceberg is the damage is done. And so at this point, I'm looking at it saying, you don't just wave a magic wand and say, that'd be like saying on defense, we're going to go from a 3-4 to a 4-3. We don't have that personnel. You build up to that. And the problem is they pivoted on the dime, and now they've got offensive linemen that are trying to run a spread offense. They weren't built or brought here to do that.
And they're flat out not good.
So
Well, they're not good at what they're asked to do now.
I don't think they're good.
They were good last year at what they were asked to do.
Real quick, so Jay, just to clarify, because we're going to get to the ownership decisions in a sec. I want to make that a separate split.
Okay.
You would bench Deshaun for his football play.
100%.
Correct. G,
And
you said
again,
you would go to Winston.
I'm not assuming that Jameis is going to come in and be great, but I think it's Jason. Is it Jason or Devin McCourty that's on the NBC pregame show?
Jason said it.
Jason had a great point yesterday. He said Bill Belichick, and it didn't matter who was the quarterback. Bill Belichick always used to say, if things aren't going well, and you know with your eyes, are they going well or not? If things aren't going well, something has to change.
Yep.
What are you going to change?
Jay, Jason, do you make it 3 for 3 on from a football perspective? It's time to bench Deshaun.
100%. It's not even a debate. It's not even a decision. So give me a minute here because you guys covered a lot. So let me try and add to and unpack some of this. I know I'm like seen as the big Stefanski supporter. Kevin's had a terrible year. Everybody in the organization's had a terrible year. There is no defending what's happened this year. I do have one question, though. If you fire Deshaun Watson, the salary cap goes away, money doesn't matter, you cut him today.
Yeah.
Anybody picking him up tomorrow?
Nobody.
Not one team.
I was
would.
having that conversation in text with friends yesterday. Nobody
hang
would
on.
pick him up.
If you fire Kevin Stefanski today,
Yes.
when does his phone ring?
Immediately.
In 15 minutes.
From multiple clubs.
And that's why I'm telling you, Kevin is not the problem. The NFL would laugh at the Browns if they fired him.
Like they're laughing at us
Well,
right now for making the Deshaun Watson trade.
Let's be clear. Coaches get fired all the time and get new jobs.
Quarterbacks get released and get new jobs.
I mean, look, you got to think about it.
Look at Baker. We thought Baker was done after Carolina.
Kevin Stefanski can go be a coordinator, a tight ends coach.
he'll be a head coach.
He'll be a head coach.
I think he'll be a head coach.
He'll be a head coach tomorrow.
I heard Sean King say you guys are I don't agree with you. You fire Stefanski. I don't think he's getting no job tomorrow. That's what he said.
Well, we're being, obviously, realistically, when a job comes open, for instance, there would probably be a move made.
Teams will fire their coach to hire him.
Jacksonville's already contemplating making a change. If Stefanski came available, it's a wrap.
So guess what? They got Mike Vrabel. Is Stefanski a better coach than Mike Vrabel on this roster today?
We don't know. We'd have to see Mike Vrabel with this roster.
If he was that great, you would have a definite yes on for Stefanski. It would be no question.
Well,
You'd be like, yeah.
Vrabel's also had success in this league.
Okay. Well, we acted like there's no other great coaches that are doing things. You got people in this roster that I would say is better than what Kevin Stefanski brings to the table.
Kevin is calling an offense that is not his.
That's right.
Why would he do that?
Because he's forced to.
It was forced into
Deshaun
him.
said, I'm not comfortable in this offense.
I think you were 1,000,000% right. Listen, I've said this before on the show. Joe Flacco, I know we're going to get to Flacco. Joe Flacco embarrassed Deshaun last year.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly believe that. The city fell hard for Joe. It was all about Flacco. Everybody loves Flacco. They don't like that guy. It was an embarrassment to him to watch the way that Flacco performed in the offense.
That's why Flacco's in Indy right
and the
now.
way the city and the locker room too. The locker room's a big, but we'll get to the Flacco in a minute.
Before you go, I'm asking, why would you call, if this is a forced marriage, why is that Kevin Stefanski calling plays for another person that came in as the offensive coordinator? Why is that?
He didn't want to give up that duty. He called him with Alex Van Pelt.
Okay, so if you don't want to give up that duty, you have to be held accountable for what your actions are.
And I think he is.
And we're saying he's having a terrible
year. He came to the podium
year.
yesterday and said, point the finger at me.
Well, he says that every week. But he's having a terrible year. Like
He is having a terrible year.
I'm not defending Kevin this year. He's having a terrible year.
The thing of it is, Jay, though, and I'm glad you made that point, because that's the slack I'm giving Stefanski. Stefanski is building a house with materials he doesn't want. And he's forced to do it because that's the way things go here. So if I'm a coach, I've always said this. If I'm a coach, I'm winning and losing, getting hired and fired based on what I want to do. J-Dub wants to
So
do,
let me ask you
or
guys-
Paul D. Podesta.
I talked to Mikey McNuggets the other day, and I asked him this question. If he is being forced to do all said things that we are saying, he can't pick the coordinator, he got to fire Van Pelt, he doesn't get a choice whether Baker's going to stay or Deshaun Watson comes out of the game, well, why would you sign up for an extension
It's a great question.
with an organization that has
No.
handcuffed you and don't give you permission?
I was
Why would you do that?
And I
Guaranteed
was
money.
advocating last offseason he should walk.
I said that. He should
I did
quit.
too.
He should quit.
But-
Just quit. You'll have a job tomorrow.
Without question. He's, it boggles my mind. And that is the right question, G. You're asking the absolute right question. I'm looking at Kevin, and here's my answer to that. That's who he is. He's not an alpha male. He's not. And that's not a knock on him. I'm just saying an alpha male is going to walk into the room and say, look, boys, this is the way we're going to run it, or you're going to find someone else to run it.
Do you need somebody like that? Because right now, it seems like the Browns are not playing with the alpha male at the top of the food chain.
Well, and that's what you get. The team takes on the personality of the coach.
I don't want to speak for Bull, and at first I kind of dismissed what he said. I think Adam is 1,000,000% right when he said, bench Deshaun to make him fire you. You're the head coach of the team, coach the team.
And you know what?
I wholeheartedly, because
Jimmy
you know
won't
what?
fire him.
But you know what? That's exactly what Ty Lue did with the Cavs in 2018, because there was a mandate, play the kids, and Ty said, I'm playing who I want to play, I'm playing my vets. And he was fired after like 6 games because he was going to do it his way. Kevin at some point has to put his foot in the ground and say, I'm the coach of this team,
and for me,
I am going to coach this team.
And for me, this is the time. This is the issue because I know you love EPA. CBS Sports just put out an article this morning, just not long ago. Sean's last 2 weeks, EPA is negative, and it's 2 of the worst 5 individual week EPAs since they've been keeping this stat going back to 2000. So we're not talking number 32 quarterback in the NFL. We're now talking bottom 5 out of all the quarterbacks that have played this game in the last 22 years.
Yeah.
And you said something earlier that is 100% right, and I want to drill down on that before we move. I had another former quarterback text me, Deshaun is seeing things that aren't there. Ghosts. Mm-hmm. We've seen quarterbacks go through this before. Was it Sam Darnold who early in his career
I'm seeing ghosts out
said,
there.
I'm seeing ghosts?
Yeah.
And at the time I go, his career's over.
It was on Monday Night Football.
That's it.
When he was with the Jets
Yes.
against the Patriots, a Bill Belichick defense.
And I thought, that's it. He's seeing ghosts. His career's over. Now, for him, somehow, I don't know how he's done it. 5 years later, he's exercised those ghosts.
Sat 6 years.
Maybe. You might be right.
Yeah.
But you said it. I've had a former NFL quarterback tell me the exact same thing. He doesn't trust the pocket, and there's reason not to trust it, by the way.
He don't trust his receivers.
And so he's not thinking clearly because his first thought is survival, and he's not seeing guys that are open. He's seeing things that aren't there. He's seeing coverages that he can beat, but he's not trusting it, and he's taking too many hits and sacks.
To that point, and then Mike, go. Zach Jackson sent me this morning. I just lost it. Give me 1 second. Deshaun Watson has been sacked on 24% of his dropbacks against the blitz. Highest rate in the league. The league average, 9.5%.
Okay. So that he's holding the ball way too long. He's
24%.
not trusting what he's seeing. He's probably interception phobic, which all quarterbacks are.
He left a clean pocket 2 to 3 times that I counted just watching it live
and
yesterday.
ran into a sack.
And I went to the game just in case this happened. So I flew into Washington yesterday morning, went to the game and came home last night. At least 2 or 3 plays, no reason to move, perfectly clean pocket. Now they've had a lot of protection issues, for sure.
No question.
But when he has the protection, he doesn't trust it and he's fleeing.
Yeah. Greg Olson hinted that during the telecast. He talked about nonstop. He talked about this is just the wrong system. The play-by-play guy, Jason Benetti, I'm not familiar with him that well, but he kept asking him, so what do you do to generate offense? And Greg Olson kept answering the question the same way. Well, you get under center and you go to the most effective play in football when it comes to throwing the ball. You got to play action. But Deshaun doesn't like doing that, so they're in the shotgun, and he just kept driving that nail, and he's right.
And it's a staple of Kevin, what Kevin does.
He loves it. Look what the success he's had with it.
I talked 2 things. We're going to move on to whose decision really is it. Can Stefanski bench Deshaun Watson? We'll do that in 1 sec. But I talked to Sean King yesterday. He's going to do a breakdown for us again this week. There was one play in the red zone. They ran a mesh concept. Judy was open, got open. There was a good pocket, and Deshaun's looking for Bobby Wagner. His eyes are visibly on Bobby Wagner instead of downfield, and he runs into a sack on that play.
Yep,
He's got to go for the end
talking
zone. He's just
about.
not trusting anything. We asked the chat. We have over 750 votes. Is it time for the Browns to bench Deshaun? 81% say yes, it is. Time to bench Deshaun. Over 750 votes. We're going to do a read, then we're going to ask the question, whose decision is it to bench Deshaun? And if you're going through any struggles or you need the opportunity to get something off your chest, big or small, certain things can really start to get to you, and it's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, you have to remember that it's just sports. And even if you're feeling down in the dumps about the Browns, you have the Guardians to pick you back up, and you could always find help in a number of different places. And that's why BetterHelp is a perfect chance for you to get that necessary help. Therapy can be different for everybody. Most of us have bigger problems in our lives than our favorite sports teams, but it's important to start to get those things off your chest every once in a while. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Jay, I have 3 clips I want to play you. They're about a minute to a minute and a half each. It'll be about 3 minutes total from different media members across the country. Not local, these are national media members, speaking on the current situation of the Browns quarterback decision. This first one comes from Dan Orlovsky on Get Up This Morning.
The Cleveland Browns are in the worst situation in pro sports. They're done, and so is Deshaun Watson. If you want to see a situation where the head coach has absolutely no say of who's playing on the field, it's happening in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time coach of the year. He's a brilliant offensive mind, and this offense looks nothing like the offense that he won 2-time coach of the year with. They're in an awful situation, and by every measure, if you just watch the game and then you look at the stats, their offensive performance, and specifically Deshaun Watson's offensive performance, is the worst in the NFL. They're done.
Should they bench him?
Yes, they should have benched him week 1. Week 1, they should have started thinking about Jameis Winston.
You did say that,
But
yes.
I don't think this is a head coach decision, and I don't think this is a general manager decision. I truly believe this is from the owner, because there's no way that you would watch this football tape over the last 5 weeks and say that's our best opportunity. Look, this is why it's the worst situation in pro sports. $150 million.
They still own. That's what you're saying.
$150 million.
Yeah, to be clear.
They might have $150 million guaranteed to a quarterback and justify taking a first-round draft pick at quarterback next year.
So that was Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, I don't know that he's plugged in enough or has contacts in the Browns locker room to speak on that definitively. I think he's just giving his opinion there. But when Chris Sims said it yesterday,
Well, we have that. We're going to get to those. Yep.
When you listen to this, think about this. I think Sims said it with a little more authority, and he's removed from the league as well. But I think he might be hearing this from someone in the organization that knows, because it didn't sound like he was guessing. He sounded like he was making a definitive statement.
Well, I think it's common sense just watching the play on the field.
I agree. And Orlovsky, by the way, nothing he said was not true.
There's no way.
Nothing he said.
There is no way Kevin Stefanski wants to keep playing Deshaun Watson.
No.
Well, we're going to hear these next 2 clips, and then we'll dive into it. They're both from Chris Sims as part of an NBC discussion. Other one's a play breakdown. Here's the first one from the NBC pregame show last night.
Right now, Deshaun Watson, with his contract, the trade they made to the Houston Texans, has totally handcuffed the whole organization. If it was any other quarterback in football, we would be talking about benching him.
Yeah, that was the Lowe's home team help. But let's talk about Kevin Stefanski saying after the game that's not the plan. He's sticking with Deshaun Watson.
I think you guys chime in here, but I think it goes back to the owner and the GM a little bit here.
Yeah, your number one job as a head coach is to play the right guys, the guys that give you the best chance to win. And you can't watch the Cleveland Browns and say this guy gives you the best chance to win. You lose credibility in the locker room when you let other factors come involved. Money, when he was drafted, how long the contract is. He's got to sit back and take courage, Kevin Stefanski, and say, what's the best thing for our team? I think right now, give Jameis Winston a shot. Maybe there's some new energy. Maybe there's a spark in this team. It doesn't mean this is the decision for the rest of your life. You can make a two-way decision. Right. A few weeks from now, maybe you bring him back into it. But they can't go down the road that they're going down right now. They have no chance to win.
And you have to do that because of the guys in the locker room. Think about if you're playing defense right now, we always talk about those quarterbacks that always give the team hope. I know we can win. We got that. They don't have that right now. The defense isn't looking at Deshaun Watson like, if we make this stop, he'll go win. I think this defense is coming into games like, hey, it doesn't matter what we do.
If we don't win, we're not going to win.
They're going to find a way to lose the game on the other side.
Well, what about, do you think Stefanski even has the power to make that call? That's the big thing. I think it's an ownership GM thing that's getting involved here right now.
So guys, I'll ask that very question to you guys. Who's making the call on the quarterback? Is it Kevin Stefanski or is it someone above? Jason?
Well, I'll go back to 2021. You mentioned the Baker season in 2021. That was an ownership-driven decision to play Baker, even through the shoulder injury. I've said this a million times. They were trying to make a decision on his contract and whether or not to extend him. The answer internally at that point was no. They wanted more evidence he was worth it. So even though he was hurt, they kept running him out there. It was an ownership-driven decision.
Which, think about how irresponsible that is, Jason. He's not giving you an accurate take as to who he is or what he can do.
Yes, but if you don't play him at all, the answer was no.
Okay, then the answer is no. Then move on.
Yeah, but while you can't really disagree with that. But I'm just saying that was the reason why they kept running him out there. That was an ownership-driven decision to keep running him out there because they had to make a decision on whether or not to extend him and give him another contract. So I fully believe this is another ownership-driven decision that, and to go back, I don't want to go all the way back to where we were, but it is important to say, like, when you invest the money that they invested in Deshaun, when you give up the trade capital that they gave up to get him, of course you want to do everything you can to try and make it work. So, I mean, I've talked to people across the sports. I've talked to NBA people and NFL people who said, yeah, you got to do whatever you can to try and make this guy comfortable and make him happy. And so that's why.
At what point do you pull ripcord?
Now. Okay. We're there.
So we've seen enough.
Yeah, it didn't work. Like, you tried revamping the offense, but you also, we've talked about this on the show, you don't have the personnel to match the system. You touched on it earlier. I wrote about it a couple weeks ago. They have the slowest receivers in the league. And they don't create separation. I can give you all the data you want to back that up. So why are they trying to run a spread-type system with downfield throws when they don't have the speed and they don't have the guys who can create separation? They don't have the personnel to match the scheme. They're trying to fit the entire scheme around one guy. And guess what? He can't do it anymore either.
The GM, listen, at some point, y'all are responsible for picking the players. How many times have I told you about Project Stockpile? And this is the thing I get so annoyed with. Every single time there's a receiver's name mentioned, every single time there's like, hey, you need to go up in the draft and get a receiver. You need to trade up. No. We like our receiver room. Okay, well, how much you like it right now?
I think you can win with these receivers if you play the way that they're meant to be played, and it's not this.
This is who we had last year.
Yeah,
and it worked.
Well, here's
a different offense.
Here's the thing: they ain't gonna let you bench him, and they ain't gonna let you make that move, well, guess what? There are a couple of things that you can do. You can revert back to what you were calling. You can revert back and say, you know what, that offense ain't going to work. We better figure out a way to pivot.
Well, they may view that as a fireable offense, too.
Well, listen, if you can't call the offense and you can't bench nobody, you're not a coach anymore.
That's what.
Just quit.
100% agree. Are you the head coach or are you a puppet?
Yeah.
And right now, he's a puppet. And unfortunately, it's a shame because he's a good man and a good coach. We're seeing global decisions being made by a guy who made his fortune running a truck stop. And I've told this story a number of times on the air. One of the 3 ESPN insiders that was part of this discussion, there were 3 of them against me, when they were all 3 begging me, pick a new team. One of the 3 texted me again yesterday, and I looked back. I hadn't heard from him in over a year. I looked back, and the last time he texted me was when Deshaun Watson was not playing well earlier in the season, and he said, I begged you then, I'm begging you still. Yesterday, I get another text. It says, I've tried telling you, this conversation goes back almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
And his premise was, please pick a new team, and here's why. Jimmy's never selling. Jimmy thinks he's a football mind, and Jimmy makes decisions he has no business making. And then he brought in JW and said, and by the way, if it's not Jimmy, it's going to be his son-in-law, whose only qualification to run a football team is he married the right girl. And this is stuff I've been hearing from these guys for almost 10 years. And as I'm watching all this dumpster fire Sunday after Sunday, I hear those voices swimming in my head. And if this in fact was, like, somebody texted me yesterday, not these guys, someone texted me yesterday and said, what percentage of Browns fans do you think would push the button and just right now trade Deshaun for Baker? And here was my reply. See, it's so much worse than that. 100% of Browns fans would say, give me Baker.
No, not 100.
Man,
but
then,
over
you
90.
know what? Then
over
those
90.
those whatever 2 or 3%, okay, you're helpless. I can't do anything for you. Whatever percentage that is, you just say, give me Baker today and take Deshaun. I said, that's not the issue. Give me Baker and give me 3 first-round draft picks over the last 3 years, 2 third-round draft picks, and a 4th-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Because that's what we don't have on our team today that we should.
Yeah.
Who made that decision? You tell me.
To go for Deshaun?
Yep. Let's get rid of Baker. Let's go for Deshaun.
Now, listen, you take Kevin Stefanski's word for it. He said that everybody was on board in the organization with going to get Deshaun Watson.
Of course he's going to say that. He's a good company guy.
Listen,
he also stood in front of the mic yesterday and said, I'm going to keep playing Deshaun, and it's my decision.
At some point,
he's a good company man.
At some point, you're going to take, you keep saying it's my decision and it's on me, they're going to fire you.
And you damage yourself down the road for potential other jobs.
No, he doesn't.
Well, at some point, he's got to stand up for himself.
If he gets fired, the entire league is going to know, oh, well, he was in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, they already
It doesn't
know.
count.
No, they already know.
But in the terms of whose decision was it, all the information I have up until this point was AB was the first on board with pursuing him. And
so it was his initial idea. It wasn't the owner saying.
I don't know that necessarily Barry wanted to go to the lengths that they wound up going in terms of contract and guaranteed money and all that. I can't say with certainty. I don't know.
He had to get permission from the owner to do that. That was an unprecedented contract.
Yes. I'm saying that's an owner call to 230 guarantees.
Because after Deshaun said no, I'm not going to play in Cleveland, and the next day the deal was done. To me, that's Jimmy. Jimmy went and said, "Make it happen."
Listen, Jimmy gets what Jimmy wants. They're gonna build,
and so do we.
They're gonna build a dome in Brook Park.
Sure they are.
Because that's what Jimmy wants. It doesn't matter who says no. It doesn't matter what county officials or city officials or whoever pushes back. And if he pays for it himself, go ahead, do whatever you want. I don't care.
He is going to get what he wants.
But Jimmy gets what Jimmy wants.
And you know what? We have to live with it.
And Jimmy wanted Deshaun. So Jimmy's going to get. Now, again, it was made, everything I've been told was AB was on board first. Now, is there a line where you say, all right, you know what, we've reached a point, this probably isn't a good idea in terms of money, and he already told, I don't know the details.
When you say first, does that mean that Stefanski had to be talked into it?
No, I just mean AB was the first to say, we need to look into this.
Let's do this.
So let's be clear, though. If you got Baker Mayfield, and I'm going to look at it from Haslam's point of view. Hey, y'all think Baker good enough for this extension? Coaching staff is like, I don't know. Because we're not going to act like the coaching staff was in the front office was in love with Baker Mayfield's performance.
They clearly were not.
Now, Jimmy
Haslam did not love Baker either.
Oh, okay. Nope. Well, if you go and you say your honest opinion and your expert opinion is, you know what, we need to move on for Baker.
Yeah.
Right? So you go to the owner, tell him, he said, cool, what's our alternative? They said there's a guy out there named Deshaun Watson. How much is it going to cost? And you got some allegations with him. All right, well, let's go look at it. If I'm Jimmy Haslam and we pulled the way to move, then you go to me and you say, okay, well, to make the roster around us complete because we gave up a lot of assets, we're going to have to keep front loading these contracts to keep kind of giving them these bonuses so we can do which he's done. Then you get 5 games into the season. Jimmy Haslam sitting here and he's like, this ain't it. This ain't it. This looks terrible. I'm embarrassed. People keep bringing my, because that's the one thing he don't want. He does not want his name brought up for any on-the-field garbage. He wants to get a stadium.
Oh, it is, though.
It is.
Yesterday and today?
Today.
All signs are pointing to this is Jimmy Haslam.
So what he's saying to Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry is, listen, I trusted you when you said Baker was done and don't give him no deal. Now look what he's doing. I don't like that. That looks like it's on me. Now you say go get Deshaun Watson. We went and got Deshaun Watson. You said it will change the offense. You changed the offense, and it still don't look good. They said, listen, we might want to bench him. He's like 5 games in, And I'm paying. I done already paid out this money.
It's going to keep paying too.
No, man. Listen, I'm gonna get my money's worth out of this Lamborghini.
But
And you know
That's
what?
his thought.
You can
But
die
you're not.
trying to shove that square peg into the round hole.
But
It's not going to fit.
At this point, as a man of his wealth and magnitude, you think he cares? I think he.
I do think he cares.
I don't think he cares that as of today it looks bad, but he could take 4 more weeks of it. He's like, no, I'm going to ride this out until the wheels fall off.
Here's the problem.
By the way, I think I don't know if it was McCourty or it may have been Jason Garrett. Somebody said the defense is clearly affected by what they're seeing out of the offense.
Oh, I totally believe that. Yeah.
And I do too. I think they want to play well. They want to play hard. Up until even when it was 14 points, they had played okay. They gave up the 65-yard pass and they gave up the long run. But other than that, they were playing well. But then it felt like, okay, we can't push this boulder back up the hill, so you just let it roll over you.
One thing about Jason Garrett saying it's not forever. Yes, it is forever. If you bench Deshaun, that's it.
Oh, yeah, I totally disagree
I don't
with
know
that, dude.
what
are you going to do? Unless, if Jameis plays well in 3 weeks, you're going to say, okay, let's go back to Deshaun now?
I'll take it a step further. I don't know if I was going to say it or not, but I will say it. You need to play DTR sooner than later in this season.
Figure out what he is.
You need to figure out what he is.
I agree.
Because you're going to be into the quarterback hunt game here again, and you can't wait till December to play DTR.
I agree.
Now, there's risk. And I talk about this all the time. It's not about the one, it's about the other 52.
I know.
And if you run DTR out there, you're really running the risk of losing a lot of these guys, a lot of these
haven't
veterans.
They lost them already?
That's the other side of this, is you're close to losing
Myles
them
Garrett,
anyway.
his name, as far as the box score is concerned, Myles Garrett didn't go to Washington.
Here's the thing.
He didn't show up in the stat sheet.
But here's the thing. What are you accomplishing by playing Jameis Winston?
I think what it does, Jason, is right now this is a feeling of hopelessness and embarrassment. If you trot him out there, look how many times this has happened in league history. Hell, it happened here last year.
Yeah.
Look how many times the backup comes in and gives the team a spark. Now, there might be already a fait accompli amongst the front office saying, well, we're not in it to win games now. Let's get the best pick we can get.
I honestly think this is going to get to the point. I truly believe this.
Tanking?
You send Deshaun home.
Yes.
Send him home.
I think he's a negative influence on the team. Get him out of the locker Cleveland room. And wash your hands of the deal and eat the $230 million pill.
Houston did it in 2021.
Yep.
They carried him on the roster. They paid him all year, and they sent him home.
Let me tell you this. Right now. You send him home, you can kiss about 60%. Myles Garrett is done.
Listen, I think that's an absolute fair point.
You send him home. You got to understand. Kevin Stefanski has a penchant to send people home. He sent Odell Beckham Jr. home.
Sure.
And the locker room did not like that. It signals it's over. We waving a white flag. And if you're Myles Garrett, and if you're Denzel Ward, or you're Amari Cooper, you think that that signals a rebuild.
I don't know.
Are you assuming that all those guys want to keep going with Deshaun?
No,
that's a big assumption.
No, what I'm assuming is Myles Garrett has played here the rest of his whole career, and you have not been close to getting to a championship.
They've done a total disservice.
And guess what? I know for a fact, and I know for a fact, the words is he's not going to be Joe Thomas.
No, he's not. I think he's gone.
Joe Thomas sacrificed his whole career here, and he had nothing to show for it because of infighting, doing all kind of dumb stuff with quarterbacks. But you asked Joe Thomas.
He never won.
We asked him. I asked him point blank, Jay. I asked him on the show, would you take the ring or the jacket? He said the jacket is nice, but we played a game to win. And I never had that opportunity. He stayed loyal. I'm going to tell you this. You sit him down, which you might have to. I told you, I'm on a record. Hey, give me Jameis Winston. But here's the thing. If you play Jameis Winston can move people in the locker room. Jameis Winston is a former first overall pick. And it will save some people from saying, immediately trade me. I don't want to be here. This is not what I'm signing up for.
I'm not saying play DTR this week. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying send Deshaun home this week. I'm saying I think it's going to get to that point.
If it gets to that point, they got to send him to the crib. We're looking at a complete rebuild.
Well, no, we are. I mean,
but what difference does it make if he's at home or if he's sitting on the bench? I think they need to remove him from the building.
The thing is, you said we're looking at a complete rebuild. I think history is going to record this trade as, if not the worst in the history of the NFL.
It's the worst.
See, the only reason that I'm not completely ready to go there yet is because a trade has two partners. The Herschel Walker trade netted the Cowboys 3 Super Bowls.
Yes.
So I don't know what the Houston Texans are going to go on to do. By all indications, they're going to be a powerhouse for years to come based on the assets we gave them. But all of that being said, if it's not the worst trade, it is unequivocally the second worst trade in the history of this game. I think the moment they made that trade, they were already rebuilding and had no assets to do it because you didn't have a first-round pick for 3 years. You didn't have a third-round pick for 2 years. You didn't have a fourth-round pick for one of those years. And so now they're really going to be in the throes of the rebuild. Now you're going to be in the basement, in the bellows of the rebuild.
Now, to be fair, some would argue the moment you took Baker Mayfield over Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, you missed. You missed.
None of those guys have a Super Bowl yet.
No, it's a miss.
No, that's a miss.
It's a miss.
Those are transcendent players.
I will say that it is a miss.
That's a miss.
But I will also say this. At the time, who was advocating? I mean, Josh Allen, I wanted them to take Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was in the discussion. Lamar Jackson was not.
Lamar was never in the discussion.
Well, that's on them. That's on you.
It's their job to know.
It's your job.
While we're talking about that, because there's one name that hasn't come up that I think should be talked about in this discussion, and this tweet is from the Cardiac Kid. He says, since Depot, who's Paul DePodesta, was hired in 2016, regular season record 48, 87, and 1. 48, 87, and 1. Now, he is the consistent link. He and Jimmy.
Yep.
They are the consistent link. I think Dorsey, history shows the good players we have on this roster were selected under Dorsey.
Dorsey drafted Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett.
He made the Teller trade.
Made the Wyatt Teller
also
trade.
drafted Baker Mayfield.
Joe
which
Bitonio.
I know that we're not ready to say that was the best move with history as our friend.
What Baker's doing in Tampa was not going to happen here. Period.
Well,
it was not going to happen.
It's happening in Tampa. But here's the rest of that tweet. 48, 87, and 1. 2 playoff appearances. 1-1. That's not true because they lost both. They won a playoff game, but they're 1-2. They're 1-2 in the playoffs. 77 draft picks, second most since 2016 behind Minnesota. Because Depot's thing is, give me that late round currency. Give it to me. I'll give you a third, give me a fourth and a fifth. He was big on accumulating picks. Well, it's great if they hit. If they suck, you're wasting currency. This is the one that blows my mind. Since 2016, no team in the NFL has spent as much money as the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Well, the Deshaun contract really. But other teams have big quarterback contracts.
Deals that are in that neighborhood
they do.
now.
The other teams have big quarterback contracts.
8th year for Depot, 48 wins, 1 playoff win. I don't know if Jimmy Haslam and J-Dub were watching Moneyball and they said, I want that guy. I want that guy. First of all, Moneyball was a farce. Nowhere in the movie Moneyball did they mention that they had a MVP shortstop in Miguel Tejada, or did they mention they had a lights-out pitching staff. All they focused on was Scott Hatteberg and one big at-bat. Yeah. Moneyball works. At the end of it, this is where I laughed. Even though Moneyball never led the Oakland A's to a World Series, Theo Epstein, employing the same Moneyball system in Boston, broke the Red Sox 77-year curse or whatever it was by winning the World Series using Moneyball. The Red Sox had a $200 million plus payroll that year.
We still ain't got 200.
Did he believe in analytics, Theo Epstein? Of course he did. Did he build his roster that way with a $50 million? No. He spent money. Yeah. And so the whole movie Moneyball is a farce. And by the way, Paul DePodesta, who was a baseball guy, hired to be a football guy, which is never going to cease to blow my mind, didn't have success building baseball teams.
Yeah.
So I got the question that I come away with, and we talk about rebuilds and draft picks and all this good stuff. The question that boils down to it is now, after this thing plays out and it don't work, are you comfortable with Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski scouting, picking, and anointing a brand new quarterback?
To answer that question, because that is the right question, to answer that question properly, I need this information. How many of those 77 draft picks were Andrew Berry's idea? Or how many of them Did Paul DePodesta hand him a folder and say, here's your second round pick, here's your third round pick? I don't know. And until we know as fans, we can't say.
I feel like that's a blind study. You're not going to know that.
Well,
They
there
don't tell us
is
anything.
one person that knows that.
Who?
Jimmy Haslam.
Okay.
He knows who's been pulling the string. Jimmy, you got bamboozled by Paul DePodesta, okay? You got fooled. He's not the genius you thought he was. He wasn't the genius that everybody thought he was in baseball. And he certainly, if he was fired today, how many people would hire Paul DePodesta to guide their franchise?
0.
If J-Dub was fired today, how many people would hire J-Dub to have the same role within their franchise?
0.
Okay. If Andrew Berry was fired today, would he work in the NFL again?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
For sure.
I think they stumbled in to Stefanski and Berry. Do it enough, you're bound to, a blind squirrel's going to find a nut. I think they got DePodesta Berry and Stefanski right. But here's the problem, and this is what my buddies at ESPN used to drive into my head. They kept saying, Jay, we know how NFL organizations work. We understand them. We cover them.
Yep.
We know them. We talk to them. We understand how a successful organization works. We know this organization, as long as he's the owner, cannot be successful because he thinks he knows more than he does, and he's hired the wrong people. He's listening to the wrong voices. So as long as that's the case, this is kind of where I am as a Browns fan. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If Jimmy is still making calls on quarterbacks and still making calls on who should ultimately be in charge of these decisions, then it's not going to work. Jimmy, run your truck stop. You must be pretty good at that because you've made a lot of money doing it.
He sold them all. He's out.
Well, he's done now.
Yeah.
So sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But
play with the
you're trying to
grandkids.
catch lightning in a bottle. And that's what somebody told me about Jerry Jones once. They said, the problem with Jerry Jones is he was born on third and thought he hit a triple. He wasn't. When Jerry Jones got involved in the organization, Jerry Jones' first paragraph of his obituary, he fired Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, and Barry Switzer. That's what he did. What successes he had after he did that? None. He thought he knew more than he did, and he doesn't. And that's why the Cowboys are where they are for the last 30 years.
I don't know very many rich men who don't operate the same way.
You know why? Because they have egos. But smart rich men say, I'm going to know what I don't know. And what I don't know is football. Jimmy hasn't come to that conclusion yet. Jimmy thinks, I can pick him. I can pick him. Give me Johnny Manziel. Hell.
Well, listen, his rationale is if I make a bunch of mistakes, guess what? It still don't matter.
I'll buy my way out of it with money.
Y'all going to still show up.
That's the problem. We are the enablers.
Yep.
We keep watching. We keep buying this. We
listen,
keep going to games on Sunday.
You know how much all this? You know how much all this costs? You know what type of? And
you're one guy.
And I'm one dude.
There's millions of us that can't break the string. We can't divorce ourselves from this team. But my buddies kept saying, do it. Just save yourself the future heartbreak and do it because you're waiting for a rainbow that's never coming.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I have to probably think this through a little bit more. But this might be, it's a high bar. This might be the lowest point of the Haslam tenure because even at 0-16, 1-15, you were selling hope. You were selling it was going to get better in the future. You have 2 more years on this contract.
I know you do.
You have 2 more. And
you have 2.5 years.
You keep pushing the money forward. So you have more than 2 years of money left on this deal.
There is a way that there is a ray of sunshine. Look at what the 49ers did.
Well, with Mr. Irrelevant in the draft, they got lightning.
Which is why part of the reason I said you have to play DTR. You can't wait till December. You have to know, did you by chance run into a changeup? Did you run into it? Because DTR looked really good this summer. And I'm not saying he's an NFL starter. I don't know. But I think you at least have to give him a legitimate look and see.
That's fair.
Before and you can't wait till December. You got to know now. You got to know.
And as for losing Myles Garrett, guys, I think that ship has sailed. Myles Garrett
he's
is
got
going to
2 years left
up,
on his deal.
and he's going to say, get me the hell out of here.
He's got 2 years left on his deal.
I am not going to be the defensive version of Joe Thomas.
Now, listen, if they can find, that's why I say it's better to pivot now. Because if you catch lightning in a bottle, and you saw what happened last year, if you could catch lightning in a bottle with Winston or DTR, you could say, it ain't that bad.
We
can save the season. And it shows them, well, hold on, maybe this kid is the real deal.
Yeah.
Maybe we believe it. And then veterans will say, I'll sign up for that.
Look, do you think any veteran was thinking about asking to be traded after Joe Flacco last year?
No.
I don't either.
So that's what I'm saying.
I mean, Joe Flacco doesn't look like what a franchise is going to invest in. He's a 40-year-old quarterback. He's not the answer, of course not. But if he can be a bridge to the answer, then he's the answer for right now.
And let me tell you what, people will follow Jameis Winston.
I do think that's true. I think he's a leader. Guys love him.
They'll follow him. So
now Stefanski talks in 20 minutes, right? 12:30.
Yeah. So
I am very, very curious to see, having a night to sleep on it, and hearing all of the national voices that were chirming. And it's rare, by the way, that the national voices are a chorus. But they're all singing off the same play sheet, every one of them.
It's obvious.
They're all saying what the 81% of the fans are saying and 100% of this panel is saying.
Well, Jay, we asked the
got to be benched.
Asked the chat, who's making the call? Is it Stefanski? Is it Haslam? 85% went with Haslam, over 900 votes. So
and they're getting that right too.
Even higher and
so
higher.
it's obvious as the nose on everybody's face. My hope here is that Kevin got home last night, had a heart-to-heart chat with his wife, slept on it, thought about, am I going to be a puppet and go down with what they want to do, or am I going to stand up for my beliefs and run things my way, and if it doesn't work out, then run me out of town on a one-way rail. I'm hoping between last night after the game and 20 minutes from now, Kevin sees the light and stands in front of the cameras in 20 minutes and says, we're going with Jameis this week.
Not going to happen.
Ever.
Let's not underrate Kevin Stefanski.
Not going to happen.
Ever.
Maybe
Not by
he's
Monday.
seen the light.
Not by Monday. Ain't gonna happen.
We'll monitor his press conference.
Well, if you're going to make that decision, it has to be today.
Crazy
Well, they're off
noteworthiness.
tomorrow, but
No, I know, but
hear
you're putting
you.
in an offense. It has to be today.
We'll let you know, and we'll definitely talk about it tomorrow. We do have to talk about something else from the Browns game yesterday after a quick word from FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big win on FanDuel, America's undisputed #1 sportsbook. When you get a hunch on a game in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. While G and I were doing the postgame show yesterday, we got a number of super chats saying, hey, the defense, it's not their fault. We're going to absolve them of any blame because they were on the field for so long because the offense wasn't good enough. And G and I, in the moment, shot that notion down. They don't get a pass from us. So Jason and Jay, I'm curious if you guys agree with that notion. Are you willing to hear any excuse for this defense?
They had two 12 men on the field penalties on the same drive. No, nobody gets a pass. How do you have 12 men on the field on defense twice?
Well, they
on
ran
same
into
drive.
the same issue on offense, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not just one. Like, there are fires everywhere with this team.
And you know what? So what happens is, have you ever been part of a tug-of-war team?
Yeah.
And it's a battle, and the flag is moving, and then there's a moment. There is a cross-section in time where all 10 guys pulling on that rope realize it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what do?
Let go.
Yesterday they let go.
Yeah.
All 53.
Yep.
They were pulling. They were trying. They said, let's go out there and give it the old college try. You know, they got burnt on the deep ball. After they had a lot of success early on against a quarterback that hadn't missed, they were stopping them. And then the deep ball, and you felt like maybe one or two less loosen the grip. And then the long run. And then you know what it was? They were watching the offense look absolutely. He had 125 yards passing, and the whole second half was played in garbage time.
When you
They all let go of the rope yesterday.
When you watch, I've been on the team that went 1-10, and we went the year before. We had won the division, and we had all the returning starters back. So guess what? Everybody was like, "Yo, this is gonna be the year." And we had all these seniors and upperclassmen, and then we had a new head coach, and it just went to hell. And I remember times playing, actively watching the offense on the field as we ran the triple option and getting stopped for -2 yards every other play. It hit me. I just began to start to resent. I resented. The coach used to get up in front of the team, and I would just resent like what he was saying. He would say something that was normal. Guys, we got to go out here and continue to fight. You know what I'm saying? We were close in these areas, and you just looking at him like, bro, if you don't get up out of here, we out here getting pounded, and there's nothing we can do about it. I think the Cleveland Browns on defense, they started that way back against the Giants. That happened against the Giants. I started seeing signs of it then. And then you start to look around and you see how they're starting to pick guys off. They're isolating guys on the island and pick them apart. Denzel Ward goes out of the game. Guess what they do? Up top.
Yeah.
Hey, who we got out here is Greg Newsome and Emerson up top. And by the way, like everything, when you're a bad team, you start to see little lights shined on different places on your team. Guys, for the most part, the Browns simply ran it back on defense. They Walker for Hicks, same type guy. But for the most part, they ran it back. And guess what?
Well, but I don't blame them for that because they had the top-ranked defense last year. Why wouldn't you?
I need to add something to it. Here's the thing. If you want to take a look at that defense, who do they got? They got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and JOK.
Well, that's a star. That's a star at each level.
That's a star at each level. But I'm still not getting nothing from none of these other guys.
No, we're not.
The run game is leaky.
By the way, JOK is the only guy that can walk off the field with his head high.
Right.
He played his ass off again.
And we talked about it. We talked about it on Friday. This is an open book test. We knew what they were going to do. We said you got to have lane integrity. You got to keep Jayden Daniels in the pocket. And they knew that. And he sauntered around and ran around for almost 100 yards. And it was easy, Jay.
I don't want to – go ahead.
No, it was easy.
I don't want to turn this back into a Deshaun discussion, but it was funny being at the game yesterday watching Jayden Daniels play. I think I put this in our text. He plays exactly like the Browns thought they were getting in Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
His ability to – he glides down the field.
Easy.
His poise. He can avoid pressure, throw on the run. He is everything that the Browns thought they were getting in Deshaun Watson. And to see the two of them face-to-face yesterday in that stadium was a stark contrast. And Jayden Daniels has lifted that entire franchise. Washington, you wouldn't be able to tell by yesterday, Washington's defense is terrible.
Oh, they're garbage.
I was talking to our athletic writers from Washington who said, oh, Deshaun's getting 3 tutties today. Like, these guys can't guard anything. You just wait. You just wait. And then look how –
That was the stunning thing. This is a bad defense, and he threw for 125 yards.
I know.
And half the game was played in 3-bang.
But the point I was really trying to make on that is the quarterback can uplift the entire franchise. Because how is Washington drastically different personnel-wise outside of the quarterback? They're really not. No. But they've already matched their win total from last year. They were 4-13 last year.
They do got a new head coach.
That helps.
They do have a new head
now
coach.
Dan Quinn,
They've got a quarterback who is playing at an elite level, who that team buys into and believes in. And look what happens.
The defense.
He's got a great thing going with the coordinator too. They're on the same page.
Yeah.
Is the defense the main glaring issue for the team? No. But they're still bad. It's still a
missed tackles.
Delpit,
the crucial missed tackle led to a touchdown.
And JOK played well, but I saw
he didn't contain on the long Jayden Daniels run.
He ran in and just fell.
Yeah.
I said.
There was no edge set.
There was nothing.
He chased him to the outside.
And then it was like, I'm just going to walk right up. I
think he was surprised by how fast Daniels was. In that moment, he's like, oh, hell, I'm not catching him.
And one thing that we see, and is not there and that's evident, there's no gang tackling. There's no swarming like they were last year. It's to a point right now where, and we've overestimated how good people are. Look, that Martin Emerson train of Martin Emerson is elite. No. Martin Emerson lacks one thing. He is a good corner. But the most important thing for corner is speed. And he lacks that. You showed him on his touchdown passes. He's not in his screen. Greg Newsome, you say you want to play outside. But as soon as Denzel Ward come out the game, they pick it on you. So to me, there's a bunch of holes on this roster. And these holes weren't holes that people foresaw. But think how many one-year contracts they got. The Quentin Jeffersons, the Maurice Hurst, the Shelby Harrises of the world, the Hicks of the world. We haven't seen Juan Thornhill in weeks. Think about all the other guys that are one-year deals or Devin Bush at linebacker.
I don't know, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to say that anybody's sandbagging right now, but when teams are imploding, it always seems they have a lot of injuries.
That's coming.
That don't heal?
That's coming.
And when things are going well,
thank you.
no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And my theory on that, and I'm not pointing specifically to this Browns team, but to me, where there's smoke, there's got to be fire. If you got a knee and you're 1-4,
It don't feel
and
right.
you're getting boat raced every week,
It don't feel right.
Oh, Coach, I don't know. I don't know. I almost feel like there's like some nuts and bolts in there.
That's a great point.
But when you're
It's a
4-1,
great
you're like,
point.
no, I got this, Coach. I got this. I'm
Yep.
not coming off the field.
Hamstrings hurt worse.
Everybody's getting dinged. I'm out, Coach. Got to bring me out of this
General
train
body
wreck.
soreness. General soreness.
It happens, and I've seen it happen a lot in the NFL, and I think I'm seeing it happen right now. All these guys might legitimately be hurt, but to me, the injuries always seem to pile up for bad teams, and I think that's not by coincidence.
Here's the point. Yeah, we can give you a pass right now. Like the thing about political pressure. And by the way, this is this is voting. This ain't got nothing to do with what's on the field. It's almost a political game in the locker room too. There are leaders in that locker room that could pull and tug and sway people in different directions. Sure. And when the ship starts sinking, you ain't got buckets big enough to bail that water out. And I'm gonna tell you this.
Especially when they're pulling in opposite directions, like the Baker and OBJ thing.
He can save some of it because he's not gonna survive this himself. After some point in time, when the record starts piling on you and you 1-4 and 1-5 and 1-6, and guys, the top flight guys start checking out. I got a hamstring, not playing this week. I got an ankle, not playing this week. I got a concussion, he ain't passed protocol. And you're dealing with backups, and you still got the quarterback, and you're not doing what you need to be doing. Now that pressure is going to mount, and it's not even. It's week 5. Can you imagine what it looked like when it's week 9?
No, I don't want to see it. When you're right, it's going to get worse.
We haven't played a division game yet.
Yep, you're right.
So if you,
hey, guess what? The easy part of the schedule is over.
Yeah, and we're 1-4.
Now it's going to get hard.
There were people that said we would be 4-1 after week 5.
Now it's going to get hard.
You said it, Jay. You said they had to. Well, you didn't say.
No,
they were
I
going
said
to.
they had to.
You said they had to. That's
yes.
Hey,
listen, I had this team as not a playoff team before they played their first game of the year.
If he don't, at least if you make a change right now, and one of them other two quarterbacks give you a spark, you won't have people in the training room all day, and you'll at least get guys to play hard, and that's what you need. But if you don't, and people think it's a sinking ship, they're gonna make business decisions, and I don't know if 2 coaches a year is going to keep you safe if you're wanting something.
At what point is there a tank underway? Like, it's not at 1-4, but you're currently sitting in the 4th draft position. It's early, but is it 1-7? Is it? I don't know. I'm asking you guys.
I think. When is the bye week?
10, 9.
It's week 10.
If that bye week come, they're gonna have
1-8.
they're gonna have a lot of decisions to be made. And I actually think if they're 1-8, 2-something, I think the change at quarterback likely happens over the bye week.
Are you guys ready to bring Nick Chubb back into this?
Well, Nick Chubb is going to want to play because
He's playing for his contract, his next contract.
To be honest, he's going to want to give the Browns fans something, at least a good farewell.
Are you ready to see him in a Steelers uniform?
Man, I'm not doing it. I already
No, I'm just asking because you can see a scenario where that happens.
No, I already told you, Nick Chubb gets a lifetime contract from me.
Okay.
He's not playing in another uniform, and I would let him know right now, hey, we're going to get it. Because here's the thing. If it is a rebuild, they're going to have a reason for people to show up.
But then we're going to do to Nick Chubb and to Myles Garrett what we did to Joe Thomas.
Yeah, this gonna
Wallow
happen.
in obscurity while you play at a Hall of Fame level.
Yep. They're going to have to sell tickets. They can't get rid of everybody.
Thanks,
Yes,
Jimmy.
Nick Chubb will be back as soon as he's able to be back. You don't like it feels like it's over, and it probably is over.
What's the percentage? 5% of teams that start 1-4 make the playoffs?
2 to 5.
I think it's lower.
I think
it's lower.
Is it lower?
It feels like it's over. It's probably over, but you still have to sell hope to those. It's 1-4. You still have to sell
Well,
hope
you know what
to those guys in the locker
Plutarski
room.
asked in Animal House? Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
So you're still going out. You're still preparing to win. You're still trying to compete for the season, but everybody also has.
Yeah, I don't want to see a tank, but I also don't want to finish 7-10.
It's a delicate.
You're gonna be bad. Being bad's worse than being just average.
It's a delicate balance.
So,
Like, we either have to be a playoff team or we have to be 2-15.
It's coming. I'm not saying do it this week. The DTR conversation has to come sooner, much sooner than later. You have to figure out what you have there, if anything at all, before you get into the draft season.
And you have to do that because you need to know if you need to draft a quarterback or not, which brings us to our next topic, guys. But first, a word from LinkedIn. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours, so you can hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I hate the fact that we have to do this because it is the Monday after a Week 5 game, but it is officially Mock Draft Monday. And as long as the Browns lose, we are going to do this every Monday from now until we can't do it anymore. I found 5 updated mock drafts after yesterday's loss to the Commanders, and these are the 5 guys that different sites at least have the Browns selecting in the top 5. First, from CBS, they have Jalen Milroe, the quarterback out of Alabama. Walter Football had Shedeur Sanders coming to Cleveland, Deion's kid, Colorado quarterback. McMillan's a receiver out of Arizona, one of the highest-rated receivers on the board. The 33rd team had him mocked to the Browns. Travis Hunter from the Draft Network, the do-it-all wide receiver cornerback. And then Kelvin Banks Jr., the top offensive tackle, one of the top offensive tackles on the board. That was from PFF. I can't believe we're talking mock drafts.
Give me Travis
on
Hunter.
October 7th. But of these, is Travis Hunter your favorite, Jay?
Travis Hunter's my favorite. After what happened in Carolina, I'm never drafting an Alabama quarterback ever again. Period, full stop, end of discussion. We were all fooled. I mean, it's going to set that pick for Carolina is their Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Brady Quinn, all wrapped into one. To me, Travis Hunter is of all of those guys, the one that I look at and say, oh, he's NFL ready right now. You can plug him into an NFL offense, and he is going to excel wherever he goes.
This is going to be tough because...
And we can't draft receivers, so take a can't miss.
This is going to be tough because if they take Travis Hunter, man, I'm out here sounding crazy. I don't even like saying this, but it's the truth. I got to be truthful about it. They take Travis Hunter, you're going to have a problem because they're going to deal with analytics. And then then you're going to have a situation where if I get Travis Hunter going to play 80 snaps for me. That's what it's going to be.
You going to play him on defense too?
I'm playing him on everything.
Okay.
I mean, he's better than he ain't better than Amari Cooper.
No, he's absolutely better than Amari Cooper.
Give me him, and I need him on defense too. He can't play every snap. I need him returning punts too. But the analytics, he can't take it into his body.
I'm hopeful that by the draft, Paul DePodesta's voice is muted.
So the second thing is, come on, man. Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland? Are you serious? Do you know we ain't built for that? Do you understand?
There's a lot of stuff that comes with him.
We're allergic to that. That is a big time. The way he thinks about, right? He celebrates. His dad is Deion. We already seen what happened if we don't agree with people's dad. They get cut. Really? Come on, you can't even get rid of him, dog. It's the sound.
Deion would be part of this staff.
That's wild.
I mean, he would be the cornerback or the defensive backs coach or something. Deion is like the helicopter parent that just keeps hovering, and he's.
So you went from Baker? No, hold on. Let's start it right. You went from Johnny.
Yep.
To Baker, to Deshaun Watson, to Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, no.
I agree with you. You want to do that again?
And
it ain't even him. If we just in this state in the Browns organization We just don't do well with that.
No,
we
there's drama, and we don't need more drama. And when you draft Shedeur Sanders, you're drafting a big bag of drama that he's going to bring with him.
And that's just what it is. You got to be accepting of that if you're going to draft him.
Well, we're not accepting of it because every time we open that bag, we get blown acid hits us in the face.
Drama,
bad.
Jason, no. He said, nah. Hey,
Travis Hunter, give me the guy. He's NFL ready right now.
If they use him right.
Now, if I could draft Jeremiah Smith, I would. But I can't draft him.
By the way, McNuggets, under no circumstances am I talking about no tackle. I am not doing it. We're going to be garbage anyway if we got to get a new quarterback. I'm not doing it. I'm not drafting
You're going
a tackle.
the sexy route. Give me a playmaker.
Hey, because I keep seeing Malik Neighbors be sexy and just doing whatever he wants. I keep seeing Jayden Daniels be sexy and just, out here in his lingerie salting around on us, bro. Just running around here in socks.
Jay, what are you doing?
Finding a new team.
Look, hey.
Well, I think I'm behind you.
Hey, we talking about draft. That's crazy.
I know. It begins and ends with quarterback. You have to know if there's a quarterback there you want. Again, you have to answer the DTR riddle. You have to look around the league. Look what Tampa did with the Baker Reclamation Project. Those guys
Minnesota's
exist.
doing it.
Minnesota's doing it with Darnold, although, Minnesota's doing it with Darnold. Geno Smith in Seattle. Trey Lance is in Dallas. I don't know. I mean, Dak just extended. What's going on with Trey Lance?
Oh, God, no. I don't want Trey Lance anywhere near Cleveland.
I'm throwing out guys of reclamation
projects.
projects.
Hold on. What if? Hold on.
Bryce Young.
Let's see. Let's look at
Trey
this.
Lance has wrecked a couple franchises
Think about it like this.
He can't wreck ours.
What
You can't wreck what's already wrecked.
Like, if Stefanski, and then you got to talk about it. If you're drafting a quarterback, what offense are you running?
Well, it depends on which quarterback you draft.
The offense Kevin wants to run if you keep Kevin.
So then draft a quarterback that Kevin likes. I want Kevin to look at the quarterbacks available, and it might be the guy who's 8th on the list. But he might say, that guy can run what I want to run.
That's what competent organizations
That's
do.
how they work.
They don't have.
You
don't always have to get the one or two guys.
Look at the Steelers. This absolute Tiffany franchise. You know what they have? They have a book. Here's what their book says. Play lights out defense, run the ball, competent quarterback that doesn't shoot his foot off.
Don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball. And you know what? And then that book went from Chuck Noll, and he used it for a lot of years and won a lot of Super Bowls. And then he said to Bill Cowher, here's the book. It's tried and true. And then Bill Cowher said, damn, this book is awesome. I got a couple of rings. And then he gave the book to Mike Tomlin. And you know what our book looks like? Take all the pieces of paper in the book, rip them up into millions of pieces, put them in a bag, and hand them to the next coach. Here's our book.
So I think there's two ways you could go about it. You could go and say a soft rebuild, which is basically going out and trying to find a quarterback who you've identified.
Is that a gentleman's rebuild?
It is a slight. Because
you had a gentleman's punt a couple years ago.
They would call it in the front office because it sounds better. A gentleman's restructure.
Okay.
When you say restructure, that's just moving some things. Listen, this isn't total tear. That's a gentleman's restructure. Like we could keep Miles and some of the guys and revamp and do something up front, and then we identify a guy. Maybe Trey Lance is a guy Kevin likes. He can use his legs, and it isn't too much of a.
But
book.
Listen to Kevin when he tells you, listen, I know this guy from Boise State isn't like not everyone is salivating over him. But I see a lot of qualities in this guy that I need in the offense that I want to run. No. So if you run on a muddy track, go get a mutter. No. Don't get a thoroughbred.
Now, who I think, you know who I see? Now, I see Cam Ward. I like him.
I like Cam Ward too, but I don't know that he fits what Kevin does.
Now watch. This is. I'm gonna show you how gun shy he is. Let me show you how when you start talking about draft, all your baggage and insecurities come out. Cam Ward plays like Deshaun Watson used to.
That's a fact. I see a lot of Cam. When I watch Cam, I'm like, God, I feel like I'm watching Deshaun Clemson.
Because it'd be like, he'd be moving like, man, you ain't touching me. You can't touch me. Oh, man, get out of here, man. You thought I was over here? Touchdown. And I'm like, dang, this dude is nice. I'm like, who he remind me of? And I'm like, oh, I can't say that. Dang, that's
yeah.
Now you get that feeling. Like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then, by the way, you know this is coming up. I've seen Shedeur Sanders play behind terrible lines.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And I got to a point, I was like, listen, I can't sit here and keep seeing you get sacked. Like, you taking 55,000 sacks, bro.
Beating.
And I'm like, throw the rock away or run the ball. Now, we ain't going to have – I don't know if you've seen our offensive line, but I'm with Jay. If they use him right, give me Travis Hunter. And I'm still not – how old is Jameis Winston?
I'd say he's 32.
No, he's
guess.
not that old.
Not that old?
No.
He's 30.
Okay,
Okay.
Turns 31 in January.
Jameis Winston, 30. He was a number 1 overall pick. If I could find lightning in a bottle and Jameis Winston start balling, I could sell that. Because now I don't have to go get in the draft. Because when you get a rookie quarterback, you've signified.
Well, he's barely older than Deshaun Watson.
Right.
So you're right. I mean, if he is plugged in and has the success Joe Flacco had last year.
I mean, we've seen Darnold turn his career around. It's not out of the question that Jameis could be another one of those guys.
Geno Smith turned his career around. Baker turned his career around.
Kevin's been talking for 5 minutes. Has he benched Watson yet?
No.
No, he confirmed that he is sticking with Deshaun.
Stop.
That's the only thing that's come out yet. He is sticking with Deshaun. We're going to get back and talk Guardians, but real quick, we put in the...
Of all the things to be shocked by, that's what's going to put you over the top?
No, because
that's what causes this?
You know, I hold on to these little, I hold on to these little nuggets of hope. I had myself talked into last night when I'm hearing one national guy after another on ESPN and NBC and CBS Sports and everyone saying, "Oh, he's got to be benched." So I crafted this nugget, and that nugget was, on that plane ride back to Cleveland, Kevin's gonna be like, "You know what? This is some bullshit," and then he's gonna get home, and his wife and kids are gonna ignore him. And he's gonna say, "What's wrong, honey? What's going on?" And they're all in the other room, and they're watching tape of Jameis Winston. I thought that he would say, "God, you too? Et tu, Brutus?" And that he would sleep on it and wake up in the morning and say, no, that's not it. 85% of the football universe knows it ain't it, but I'm going to tell you it's it.
You know what his wife was looking at?
He's smart. He's got to figure that out.
His wife was at the kitchen table. So mortgage is $3,000, car payments $2,000, kids day school. Oh, we got to get that. And don't forget, we put a lot of money in church, Kevin. So we got a donation for that. Run whatever they tell you to run.
They don't have a budget.
Cash that check.
When you've been an NFL Coach of the Year twice, you don't have a budget.
Yeah.
He might have a budget soon if he doesn't start thinking this way. But
two things real quick. We're talking guards. The exact quote when asked about a potential change was, he's sticking with Deshaun, and then he followed up with this. Quote, "I have to coach better, players have to play better. Deshaun can play better, and he will play better. We're committed as an offense to putting our guys in a position to succeed." So classic Stefanski. We asked the chat, of those 5 potential mock draft picks, who their favorite is.
How many votes?
it'd be Shedeur.
Over 450.
Shedeur Sanders.
Okay, so half the people decided not to participate. Half the people's like, I ain't doing this right now.
No, we have over 3,000 watching, so 1 out of every 6 people participated.
Okay.
36% said the best available offensive tackle. That was the highest number.
Oh wow.
19% said Shedeur Sanders. 29% said Travis Hunter, and 17% said Jalen Milroe. So offensive tackle, G, was the chat's preferred vote as the first round of our mock draft.
I'm sorry, chat. We drafted Jed Wills at 10.
You're going to be drafting higher than 10 at this rate.
So you're going to be drafted higher. Hey, you got Tristan Wirfs. He don't catch the football. I'm sorry.
All right, let's talk a little Guardians because we have a bunch of super chats, so we got to make sure we give enough time to that. But we are going to pivot and wrap up today's show with the most important thing on the docket, which is a Game 2 for the Guardians today. After a quick reminder that today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Have you ever thought that you haven't been your full self recently? You were hiding behind a mask. Well, October is the season for wearing costumes, but some of us feel like we wear a mask and hide more often than we want to at work, in social settings, around your family. Therapy can help you learn to accept all parts of yourself so you can finally take off the mask, because masks should be for Halloween fun, not for our emotions. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists anytime you want for no additional charge. Take off the mask with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. Jay, we started the show with Guardians. We will end today's show with the Guardians. How badly does this city need a win to get our minds off the catastrophe that was yesterday?
On a 1 to 10, I'm thinking somewhere around 750. You know what? I was reminded Saturday, watching the game on television and feeling the energy and power of the crowd come through my little phone screen. I was reminded that this is a great baseball town. Not a good. We may not be St. Louis, but we are a great baseball town.
Friday we talked about that renaissance, remember?
I know
it
we
was
did.
like that.
And it's real. And I think what's happened a little bit is regular season apathy. I saw the Braves go through that in the 90s when they kept winning the NL East by 1 million games, and they kept not winning the World Series, and then when they finally did win one, it was at our expense. I was at Braves playoff games in 1995 that weren't sellouts.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, what am I looking at?
Atlanta is a horrendous sports town.
Terrible. Absolutely. Because for the most part, it's a transient town. It's just like Tampa.
It's too much to do.
But what was happening in the 90s with the Braves was they were winning everything. They kept saying, wake me up in October. Wake me up in October. And then they would have one disappointment after another. Greg Maddux, who was, Mr. Cy Young for that for over a decade, was always just sort of in the postseason. And I think the fan base, apathy set in. And I was watching games on television and actually at games covering, and I'm looking around going, how in the world are there 5,000 empty seats? This doesn't make sense. And the same thing has happened to Cleveland in the regular season, going back to the 95 season. Yes, they put together a string of 455 consecutive sellouts. But what happened ultimately in 01 or at some point thereabout was they kept saying, wow, we lead the league in hits, homers, RBIs, average, runs, score, everything, but we can't get over the hump. And when our pitching is great, our hitting isn't. And when our hitting is great, our pitching isn't. And I think a lot of fans just kind of fell into this malaise of we're never going to win a World Series. And they never did. Close in 95, close in 97, 16, as close as they'd ever come. Probably as close as they were in 97, losing Game 7 in extra innings. But in watching yesterday or on Saturday, I was reminded that how crazy this city gets for playoff games. And if they were to win a World Series, it's not going to completely wipe away the pain of the Browns because this is a massive disappointment. But if the Guardians fall short of a World Series, it's going to feel like a 10-month winter for us. It's going to feel bad. But if they win, I think we're good.
I think if they just get to the World Series, if they get there.
Angel Martinez has replaced Tyler Freeman on the roster. Zach just tweeted, Freeman has an oblique injury.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't. Okay.
So Angel Martinez replaces Freeman. Since we're talking Guardians, I want to interrupt.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
that.
that.
We have today's lineup. Do you guys want to hear today's lineup?
Yeah, read it.
This got tweeted out 5 minutes ago. Top to bottom, Stephen Kwan in left field leading off.
Yeah,
David Fry DHing, batting second.
Makes sense.
That.
Jose third, batting third. Lane Thomas batting cleanup, playing center field.
Right.
Josh in the 5 spot. Naylor playing first. Jay Honk, 6th, playing right field. Jimenez, 7th, playing second base. Hedges is your catcher today. And Brian Rocchio at shortstop with Matthew Boyd on the mound.
You surprised Hedges is catching?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
I am too.
Yeah.
He did have the only RBI against Skubal when he pitched against.
That's not why he's catching.
It was a bunt. It was a bunt single. But
no, yeah,
I wonder if Boyd wants him or if Boyd likes him.
Maybe Boyd feels, it might be one of those things where perhaps, I'm just guessing, perhaps Vogt went to him and said, do you have a preference? And he said, yeah, I feel a little more comfortable with Hedgie. So maybe you would give the starting pitcher that nod if,
What if Hedges hits a 2-run homer?
Bull probably won't be in for a month.
If Hedges gets on base, look, maybe they was going defensive, right? Maybe listen, maybe Hedges throws people out, right?
I don't think there's a big difference
No,
defensively.
Bo's excellent defensively.
Bo is great defensively.
But to your earlier point,
But he handles pitchers well.
I've said this on the
does.
show before. There is nothing more magical in this city than Progressive Field in the playoffs.
I couldn't agree more.
I was at NBA Finals games in an arena that blew the lid off. Cavs crowds are great. There's something special and magical about that place right there.
I agree.
And being in there when it's sold out, Rajay's home run, the press box was shaking. And it was half the Cubs fans. And the press box was shaking when Rajay hit. There's something magical and special about that place more than any other. I mean, the Brown Stadium is a funeral home. The Cavs arena is great. It's great. They have one of the best crowds in the NBA. I don't want to dismiss this at all. There's just something different and special about Progressive Field in October.
In fairness, we haven't seen a playoff game at the dumpster fire
and you
stadium.
probably never will.
We probably never will.
They'll probably knock it down before it happens.
But
at
now,
the rate
now,
we're
now
going.
think about that. When they built that, if someone would have told you 25 years from now, you know what we're going to say? We've never played a playoff game in here.
That's crazy.
You talk about bad investments.
I almost want to vomit in my mouth just saying that. So now, I was at the Jets game, the Monday Nighter, when the Bud Light cooler got busted up.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was one of the most insane environments I can ever remember in all my years of going to Browns fans or Browns games. But you're right, because we've seen so many October games played in that stadium.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than a sea of red and everything's flying, and you're just like, oh my God, this stadium is living and breathing right now. If we ever saw a meaningful game at Browns Stadium,
And the Browns have had some good moments in that stadium.
They have.
A few and far between, but there have been
like
a few.
when you compare them, okay, so it was breaking a 18-game losing streak or
Right.
whatever it was.
Right.
And
a couple Thursday night crowds were really good.
Thursday crowds are good. We've had some good moments there, but by and large, the magical moments happen at that place.
Yeah.
On the corner of Carnegie and Ontario.
Yep.
And the magic number's 10. One way or another, you have to get to 10 before you lose either 3 in a series or 4 in a series.
Yeah.
And I love this team's chances to do
too.
that. I
do
love
too.
them.
I do too. It's a fun team to watch. It's an easy team to root for.
Did they reverse the error on Hosey?
Yeah, which I actually disagreed with. I thought it was an error.
No, I thought it was a hit.
They reversed it. It was officially
I thought it was a hit.
considered
Now, in full disclosure, I was watching it on my phone,
on
and
the
I
water.
still haven't seen the play on a big monitor.
He got caught in between hops.
He did get caught in between hops.
Should have been an error.
And-
I thought the original ruling was right.
I mean, a great Hosey makes that play. I think you can assume that a great third baseman makes that play.
Yeah.
I always say if would half of the third basemen in the league make that play? And I know that's not what the official scorer uses. The official scorer is just
think
using his eyeballs.
3/4 of the league should make that play. It was relatively. He just caught in between the hops.
I know,
Should
but
have
it
been
was a
routine play.
tough hop and where he was and just the whole thing.
You're a
Like,
major leaguer, make the play.
I just thought it was.
But whatever. I mean, it's 2
a
RBIs
hit.
for Hosey. So
Did they revert it to a hit?
Yeah.
They did.
Okay.
They got the
That
RBIs.
was my
One
question.
more question on the guards, and we got like 15 super chats, so we'll get to. But Matthew Boyd's on the mound today, going up against Skubal, but take Skubal out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
A, confidence in Matthew Boyd, and B, how did we get here where Matthew Boyd's the Game 2 starter for the Guardians in a
unbelievable.
playoff series? When you looked at this rotation before the season, obviously he was on Detroit to start the season, not even part of it.
Ben Lively's not on the
Yeah,
roster.
Ben Lively
It's
being left
crazy.
off the playoff roster
Crazy.
might be one of the all-time unbelievable disses.
After
was-
the year he had,
He was
left off the roster.
which
That's
just doesn't make
crazy.
there's 12 pitchers better than him.
Well, they don't like him coming out of the bullpen, clearly.
I know, but my God, look at what he's done for you
I
this
know.
year.
I know.
That's
I think it's an incredible disrespect.
If I was him, I'd be really pissed.
He has every right to be.
I'd be devastated.
Now, I wonder if they told him, look, if we get to the ALCS, you are on the roster. But in a 5-game, you're not. I don't know.
I don't know.
I was stunned by the
I
decision.
don't
Now,
know if
all
he-
that being said, to the question, do I have confidence in this guy? You said it's unbelievable. It was unlikely.
Yeah.
If someone would have told me at the beginning of the year that he's going to be our Game 2 playoff starter, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? what happened?
What do you mean playoff? What playoff?
Matthew Boyd?
The Mexican League
Yeah,
playoffs?
what happened? But now that I've had the benefit of watching him pitch I think he started 8 games. Am I right? The Guardians are 6-2 in games that he starts. His ERA is 2.72. Now, he's only been around for 4 decisions, but in today's baseball, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
His ERA is under 3. Hell yeah, I'm confident in him.
Well, I'm glad you are. I have no faith. How can you?
Because I've watched him pitch.
No.
If he pitches today the way he's pitched this year,
Listen,
he's going to keep us in the game.
You got an off day tomorrow. 3 1/3, baby. That's what you get. You get 3 1/3 innings.
So what if he goes 10 up, 10 down? You taking him out?
Yeah.
10 up, 10 down. He hasn't seen the red.
No, 10 up, 10 down.
All depends on how hard they hit the ball.
10 up, 10 down. First guy to reach, he's gone. I'm serious.
He said it like it was that much different from mine. He's like,
that's amazing.
10 up, 10 down. Your number 2 hitter is up. If he reaches, you got 3, 4, and 5. Sorry, thank you, Matthew. Job well done. Here's your watch. Go take a shower.
Okay, then your leash is shorter than mine.
Yes.
My leash is going to be short, but not that short.
But if the 6th batter reaches, I'm not pulling him. But I'm just saying it's the second time through for me. It's the second look at him.
Yeah,
they already know him. He was just on the team.
No, they know him.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing.
They know, but they didn't hit off of him. And so what? They didn't hit off of him. It's not like if you're a defensive back and you're going against Deshaun Watson in practice every day for 8 years and then you play against him. You have a huge edge. None of these guys hit off of him.
They get coached up a little bit. The guys in the, like, what does he do? Is he going to throw the ball? Watch for this.
He gets a lot of strikeouts. I mean, he's a high strikeout guy.
3 1/3. Give me 3 1/3.
All right. I say if he only goes 3 1/3, this is an L.
I disagree.
Yeah,
if you get to the bullpen,
you can move that out.
Get 3 1/3 out.
You
of
don't
him.
have 6 arms in the bullpen you can trust. You've got 4.
You can throw other guys.
And one of them is only going to give you an inning. So now you've got 3 to eat up 5 innings.
3 1/3. Give me 3 1/3.
All right.
That's it.
We'll find out tonight. First pitch at 4:08, and Bull and Zach will have a post-game show at some point tonight. It's not immediately after the game.
Are you going to the game,
They will have a
Yeah.
post-game show.
Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of super chats. It might be the most super chats we've ever had in one episode of UCSS, so let's get to them. The Roundtable React says, I took Bull's advice and waited on Lane Thomas, and man, did he deliver. This bullpen proved his point of just how much of an advantage we have for a deep playoff run. Love the show. Keep it up. Go Guards. Jeffrey Anderson says, in my opinion, if it was up to Kevin Stefanski, Joe Flacco would still be here. He is being forced to play Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I wonder about that, too. Like, was Kevin even advised on that move?
We don't know.
Because I think if Kevin had his way, he would have said, oh, no, you're my security blanket. I'm going to need you.
So I got, is G. Bush.
What did he throw for yesterday? 356?
Yes.
59, I think.
Hey,
59?
The Browns haven't had 300 yards of total offense in a game this season.
G. Bush's bad knee, and I got G. Bush's bad
You got
back.
a second burner. Yeah, G. Bush's bad back sent us a super chat. Hey, G, I know you said you don't trust Kevin and AB to draft a quarterback, but can we give them a chance to draft someone for the first time in a higher round before we say we don't trust them?
That's
Love the
fair.
show.
That's fair.
I mean, they've had second-round picks.
Newsom's the only
fair.
first-round pick they've made, correct?
No, Jed.
Oh, Jed, sorry.
Yeah. Ooh. But they haven't
Did
picked
they
the
pick
quarterback.
Newsom? Was Newsom part of the regime too, or was Jed?
Newsom is this regime.
Okay, Newsom and Jed, the 2 first-round picks in this regime.
There might be others, but
And I don't think they'll be on the team next year.
Well, neither one of them have a deal.
All right, M. Bine says, yes, Jay, I may be wrong, but this is all Haslam. There's no way Kevin runs this offense by choice. It's not his style. Jimmy said, make my $230 million investment work. He's being forced to do this.
I agree.
Brody's bottom line says, O-line stinks, wide receiver stinks, RB stinks, and the coach stinks, but you guys are still blaming Deshaun.
Wait, he didn't even say the quarterback stinks. So what's this guy's name? Who's
Brody's bottom line.
So it's everybody but Deshaun, he said stinks.
According to Brody's bottom line.
Okay.
Oh, okay, Brody.
All right, well,
you
you
just
read it.
lost a lot of confidence. You have zero credibility at this point.
Set Apart Laz says, what's going to be even sadder is when, like Baker, Deshaun goes to a different team and balls out, and we realize it's just this organization as usual.
Nope,
not going to happen.
Knuckle Brew says, we've been bad before, but Browns are now boring, difficult to consume. Now we are held hostage as fans for, quote, business decisions.
Wait.
Great show, guys.
So at one point we were exciting suck? And now we're boring suck?
You could be exciting and bad.
Can you?
Yeah, you
the
can,
Bengals.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, you know what? That's very very fair.
And plus, there's you.
But when we were bad, were we ever like an offensive juggernaut losing 40 to 38?
No, but there's a thing that's called hope. you can see a young player and envision what he's going to be and go through growing pains.
Okay.
And when you draft a quarterback, that's just you have
So
more hope.
boring suck is the last rung on the suck ladder. Like that's the last thing you want to be.
At least
you don't want to suck and be boring.
I just give me 50 points, and if we lose, all right.
Okay. Hey, I don't know that the Bengals feel any better, but I know that they're 1-4 too. But at least you're looking at that team going, we've got Joe Burrow, we've got Chase, we've got Higgins. Boy, you talk about a coach that should be on the hot seat.
Good gracious.
Zach Taylor. Yeah.
I mean, he's got all this talent.
Yep.
Like our cupboard's empty,
Dry.
and we suck.
We went to the refrigerator in the cupboard, and all of our milk was spoiled.
Everything was expired.
Bread was expired.
We're finding out the expiration date on all of our linemen has passed.
This milk went spoiled overnight. Dang! I just drank you yesterday. Dang.
Next super chat comes from Vernell Jackson, who says, "Sounds like y'all don't truly believe in your 2-time Coach of the Year. LOL. We're still just 2 games out, and Jay, you're right. They missed and should have took Josh Allen." Philip Chambers says, "Guys, the season is not over. There are very easy fixes on offense. We haven't even played a division game yet. The Bengals are also 1-4 in all caps. Relax."
What's his name?
This is Philip Chambers.
Can we get him as a guest on the show later this week? And I want him to whiteboard these very simple offensive fixes.
Hey, the scary part, ain't no fixes up front. Ain't not one fix.
No, you can't.
They can't
put
even run a ball.
A Band-Aid on a hatchet wound.
They can't run the ball at all.
It is what it is. There's no easy fix for this. If there is, I'm open to it.
Maybe we can
ask Philip. Give us a detailed plan of his easy fix, and we'll read it.
If he records a video, and then you chime in. But if he records a video and sends it in,
we'll play it.
Detailed whiteboard fix. I want the X and O's.
Come on, Philip.
Schematics.
I'm down.
Hell, who knows? We might be looking at the next coach of the Browns.
Right.
The next Paul DePodesta. Found him from nowhere.
Hey, he's an Ivy Leaguer.
Might be. Okay, Brody chimed back in, said, "Jay and Jason, you guys are too funny to me. No quarterback can play with this sorry offensive line, receivers, and running back. Are you guys saying Cincinnati's season is also over?"
No. No.
Listen,
Cincinnati is not.
Are they
over.
1-4?
They're 1-4, but you know what? They're 1-4 with an asterisk.
Yes.
Like they lost to the defending Super Bowl champions at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost yesterday. Look how they lost yesterday. Make a field goal. Make a kick.
I'll say this: 1-4 in the
Our 1-4, we've been blown off the field a couple of times.
The statistics don't lie. 1-4, you still got a 2% chance of getting to the playoffs.
No, they have. Statistically, you're right. Based on all the evidence up till now.
Right.
I'm going to ask you this. There's 2 1-4s in the race. The Browns and the Bengals.
Their 1-4 is way better.
I don't even have to think about
their
which
1-4 is way
I've
better.
taken.
It's way better. Yeah.
All right, Christian Story. Today is his 10-month member anniversary, and he said, happy 10 months of being a miserable Browns fan. Brody chimed in one more time.
I've got 59 years on you, bro.
Brody chimed in one more time, Brody's bottom line, and said, "You guys overhyped the Browns roster and the coach." James Cosby says, "What would the owners do if fans stopped spending our money and supporting this mess?"
They'd have to figure out a way to get it right and bring the fans back to the table. But they'll never have to do that because we are in a collective trance.
Yep,
there is, you know, when they hypnotize you and they have that little thing and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
It's Jimmy holding a Browns helmet on a string, and he's going, "You will keep giving me your money.
Actually, to be
you
truthful,
will keep caring about dumpster fire football."
Football is a religion now in this country, and people don't give up religions very easily.
No, you're right. So they do. It happens. But
you got to have some life-changing.
It takes an epiphany.
Deaths, births, life-changing events that you need insurance for.
Got just a couple more. Vernell Jackson says Vernell Jackson says Stephon Gilmore signed for a $7 million one-year contract. It's on a B. Faye Francis says there's no passion on this team, no leadership. Sean Cruda says, "Hey guys, I'm a Bengals fan here. Wish I could laugh at you, but I can't. Hopefully our game in a couple weeks will only be shown on Comedy Central. Any chance the Bengals can borrow Myles Garrett for a few games?" And finally, G. Bush's bad back chimed in again and said, "Draft Travis Hunter, play Jameis for the rest of this season and next season, and then draft Dylan Raiola, the quarterback out of Nebraska." We got a minute, 30 seconds. Predictions for the Guardians game today. Win or lose, is it heading to Detroit 2-0 or 1-1?
the pessimistic sports fan in me. I think they lose a 3-2 game, close all the way. I hope I'm wrong.
Listen, easy money. There's Kool-Aid involved for the Guardians. 3-1 over Skubal. We get the win. We go to Detroit up 2-0. Series over, baby.
I hope so.
Well, Jay said the Browns would get blown out at Washington, and I'm the idiot that said, "Oh no, I got a really good feeling they're going to win. They're not a 1-14.
Jay,
They got too much talent to be 1-14.
all day during
they're going to win
Friday's
the game.
show,
They're going to win the game."
I kept asking myself mentally, who the hell are you and who kidnapped Jason Lloyd?
Well,
Go back.
so here we are again, where you're like, so I'm going to run it back one more time.
There you go. There you go.
I'm going to say Guardian because you can't possibly be right twice, although of course you can.
McNuggets, get the blue
Give
Kool-Aid ready.
me Guardians to take a 2-0 lead.
Last thing, real quick. We talked about Deshaun's very high PFF grade last week. PFF grades just came out. What do you think he graded this week?
14.
10.
Negative 70.4.
No, actually, it's probably up at 56.
He graded a 40, the lowest player on offense for the Browns that played at least 15 snaps.
40.
Jayden Daniels.
That's
for-
what you get. You write your name on the paper and you get 40.
I'll end this show how I've said it a million times. PFF, you're still dead to me.
See you in
Dead
overtime.
to me for a long time. Peace. 40. Who the hell? Who's making that grade?
That